Hey, everybody. This is finally the cash game study group. We're going to look at single raised pots playing out of position. This is the same thing we did last week, and we studied with the solver last week, so hopefully we'll be better. We're going to see what our opponents are doing. And tomorrow, we're going to do the same thing with a solver, but today we're going to do it against real people. And up first is Mike.
All right, stand by. Okay. Sure, we are. All right, ace jack suited is an open, and that should, well, okay. The fives are in the cutoff. In theory, they don't like calls there. Uh king in the small blind should three bet, and ace jack suited from that position probably gets the call.
And depending on the size of his three bet, the fives might be able to call along with it.
So now the fives come along. Kings three bet two, about 15. They go 15. All right, so I think they should probably fold now. The ace jack in theory should fold. I don't know what they're going to do. They do fold. And the fives can probably call.
12? Yeah, I guess in
I
position.
think the fives can call sometimes.
Yeah.
They can in position.
I would imagine that if we ran this in a solver on the button, that it will probably call 100% of the time after they call the
After
original raise.
Yeah.
All right, so we see a flop. The kings, good flop for the range, great flop for the hand. Out of position is still going to check at some frequency. I personally would probably just see bet small here, and I would imagine it just mixes, betting small and checking. They go large, 60-ish%.
Yeah.
And the five should fold.
I think that he might be doing that he may actually be trying to get hearts to fold. He may be trying to protect his hand instead of getting the maximum value for it with that size bet. Because this is not a big bet board,
Yeah.
I don't think.
Um,
Before
that's
we go to the next hand, we're going to add another filter,
okay.
which is, because we can't solve this one because it's three-way. We're going to add the filter that it says maximum number of players in the hand too, because that's how this happened, or maximum, because we needed one more filter. And then Dean, you're going to be next.
Also, you might want to save the filter. Just like save it as the name.
Yeah, after we get this.
Okay. It's under
Hand details,
details.
number of players.
What do we want to see?
Two and two. That way we don't get that three bet. We don't get those kings in there because that's not what we're looking at today.
Under the flop, right?
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. Thought we did that. Yeah, we did do that.
What the
I
hell?
think one was pre-flop and one was flop.
Players seeing flop, position of active player. Oh no. The guy folded pre-flop, so we needed to, so yeah, that fold left that one in. So kill one of these filters, players seeing the flop. What we really want is players, take a look. We may just have to live with a few of those in there, but open up your filters one more time. And let's see, because it's not players seeing the flop. Pre-flop, we want players seeing flop, players dealt into the hand. All right, I don't know how
But
to
I
do
think
it.
the solver will do multiple players pre-flop.
No, it will do it. It will give us what the pre-flop guy should do, but it won't let us solve it afterwards. So we can't do anything about the turn. I mean, about the flop, but we can look to see if
Okay.
ace jack suited is a fold and if those fives are a call. But yeah, this is fine when we get one of these three betters. It's just not going to be, in our range of study, but go ahead and do it. And then if I can get Poker Tracker to work ever again.
I'm pretty sure as long as there's only two actually going to the flop, the solver will solve it. Even if there's multiple before that.
I think that's not the case, but we'll find out.
Oh, okay.
We'll find out.
So we didn't actually change anything, so we can continue.
We can continue.
Okay.
Okay, Dean. Two, three, four. All right,
By the way, shout out to Dean. Dean won, even though he's not here, shout out. He won a tournament with, I think, 2,500 runners last night. Didn't
nice
win. Final table, got seventh.
table. Congratulations, Dean. All right, Larry, you're up.
Okay, oh wait, Dean's back. I'll
Dean's-
let Dean take it.
Dean is back.
Yeah, he's in chat.
Oh, Dean is chat. Okay, here we go. Dean's chat. Ace five raise. I like that. Queen jack suited calls. In our world, queen jack suited doesn't call, and it probably doesn't even raise the low jack. That's probably too early to raise low jack, but he's gonna call.
No, I think that's this is a heavy three bet.
Is it? Let me see. I'm gonna look at that while you do that.
We get
I
the three
I
bet
know it's a
this.
I know it's a heavy steep three bet against the high jack. Is it against the low jack? Yeah, it is. It's probably just not against low jack -1. That makes sense. Yeah, queen jack's gonna come in there. I will look at it.
Mixes, I think.
Dean says, what to do?
But so yeah, it's a 25% three bet no call in the higher raked situations. If you're playing in Texas where you're playing time and not a rake, then it's perfectly reasonable to call it if you want, but you can still play a three bet or fold strategy from the cutoff without losing much EV and simplify your life if you want to, and you will be less pleasant to play against. Having said all that, what do you want to do, Dean? You're playing online, Dean. You got a timer. Good luck. Yep. Dean says, I was
Yeah.
thinking betting big with ugly ace, but I don't know. I also don't know. Let's look at the board. Could this board be a big bet board? It could. There's no straights or flushes
I
available.
I think this is a range check.
Yeah,
It's just terrible for our range.
I would imagine theory
Okay.
says it's a check range.
Yeah.
In theory, it's a range check, I think.
Okay. So,
So they did check.
okay.
Does Queen Jack get to start coming in here?
Yes, I'm
Jack
just
of
about Queen
hearts.
Jack.
I think Queen Jack, this is a good bluff. I mean, you'd love to have a diamond when you do it, but you can definitely bluff this Queen Jack here.
He checks.
All
We
right.
get to see the turn.
Easy
that
game.
ace isn't so ugly anymore,
Ooh. It's a very pretty ace.
but you've got kicker issues.
Very
Yeah.
marginal.
Yeah.
Just check. Queen Jack.
I like the check there. I think that's a good check.
Yeah, I think I'd check bluff catcher.
Yeah.
Says check. Queen Jack decides to put out a third. They do call, which I think would be standard.
I like it.
And we see a river. Ace five to check. Queen Jack. Should he bluff? And what size?
Well, he can bluff. Okay, so does he have to bluff to get, he doesn't have, so the straight draws all just came in, meaning they all have an 8 or they came in as a straight. So if the guy had a flush draw, Queen Jack, does Queen Jack beat enough of his flush draws that he can check behind and beat a flush draw? If he does, if he can't, if he needs to get a king high flush draw to fold, then all he has to do is breathe on the pot to get that to happen.
It's nice blocking Jack 9.
Yeah.
I would construct a 2-street bluff here and lose.
Right, but how big? Are you trying to get a 10 to fold here? Are you trying to get a rivered 8 to fold, or are you trying to bet big enough to get an ace to fold, a bad ace? Which are you going
Yeah,
sizing?
I would, so we B33. I would imagine he's construct a two street bluff here, and I would B33, and then I would bet pot. I would match my bluffs with my value, and my value is Jack 9 suited.
Okay. He's not gonna though. He's gonna check behind.
He might.
Yeah, they do check. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough hand.
So the only question I think we have, if we wanna throw it in the solver for a second, is just, is this a check range board for out of position?
We can. I could throw this in if you want.
Yeah, that's worth it. And then after that, I think it's an easy play after that.
Should I just? Yeah, I'll throw it in. Get back to you guys.
So you'll throw it in while we continue, or did
Yeah,
you want me to?
yeah, do that. Yep, that sounds good. And then Dean says, we block the king, queen, which is what we want to fold there. Yeah, we do block the,
And king jack.
we block both
I have it
those.
ready, guys, if you want it.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
Right. Oh, hold on. I thought I did, but I'll have it in 1 second. So, okay, here we go. Share screen, that's important, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a range check.
Okay.
In theory, right?
I like this. I think this is good theory and practice.
The question I think I always have here is, if we check, they're gonna have their default's probably gonna be a B33 here.
Yeah.
And they 70% of the time. The question I have now, which I think is
The
the
king
most
jack-
interesting to me, is where do our check races come from?
Right. And the queen jack, by the way, was a bet, like we thought.
Oh, yeah, he's betting 70% range. So,
Queen jack of hearts. Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, it's just queen jack is enough.
I mean, it's just like, this is like impositions. Imposition has got a nut advantage, right? In theory, the nut advantage goes to right here. See the green here at the top?
Yeah.
Oh, these are all the sets.
But
And
he also has
sevens.
a nut advantage and a range advantage. He's just killing this.
Yeah, so, and he is. And so what we see happen here over and over again is that when you have such a clear nut and range advantage, is that you're betting small across your range.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, he's just betting everything.
Yep.
So this doesn't really, I mean, but the question I would have, and then we could probably go on, is that he bets. Now I'm just, the one thing I obviously focused on is where do our check raises come from? First, we can look at player class, our hand class. So our sets.
You have a hijack, wasn't our villain in the low jack?
It was low jack cut off, but we had to use the button to call, right?
Okay, good
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
Sure,
Pretty close. I mean, so sets. The 10 is still playing. Sets are doing a lot. Overpairs. Overpairs is a hand class, is raising 30% of the time.
Mhm.
Then the other question I would get is our draws. Focusing on the flush draws here. We're raising 40% of the time.
Top pair raises much more than overpair.
Top pair raises are much more than overpair. Top
Yeah,
pair raises
more often.
14% of the check raises 14% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Overpair check raises 30% of the time. So we check raise more.
Oh,
I
I read that it's how often we had it. I read it wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, it probably is because we're unblocking his tens, right?
Yeah, that was dumb.
We get value from it. So, anything else you guys want to see here, or should we move on?
I want to see what hijack does. Oh, okay, this is what he does first. So I was just wondering if you would donk some sets and bluffs. Well, it looks like he donks set of sevens, maybe.
Well, you mean check raise when you say donk, right?
No, I mean donk. I mean
Oh,
bet
there's no
first
donk.
before-
So, Leanne, just two corrections. the hijack was the pre-flop raiser, so if he bet, it would be a C bet, not a donk. And we
Okay,
hope,
thank you. I thought a donk because he's out of position, but okay. A
but
C
the
bet.
answer is nothing. Click back on hijack just to show you again. Hijack just checks range, not a single bet
Okay.
In theory.
in theory. And I think that's a good theory. But
Yeah,
obviously,
on this texture, it makes sense. I agree.
all right.
Okay.
All right.
And
Up next is Larry.
Hey, and just as an aside, the previous hand where it was the ace jack in early position, cold called by fives, 3-bet by kings, ace jack suited, even ace queen suited was a pure fold, and the fives were also a pure fold.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that becomes a question of implied odds, right? I mean, you've got to invest 15 to a super tight, dense range, and your applied odds aren't there once you have 15 big blinds of 100 big blinds stack in.
Ace queen suited. Wow.
Okay, so this is me. So I do not know how this becomes an SRP, but ace jack is going to, it should fold around to ace jack. They should RFI. We should 3-bet. Maybe they don't here. They don't. And so now he's he's a broken stack. So he's kind of half trapping, doing some stupid shit. Pardon my language. Okay, so this should actually be a high frequency check. And this is the most checked configuration in solve land. SRP cutoff versus button. He should check, and then he doesn't necessarily. So he's got two factors, which means he can trap here. Number one, well, three. It's a dryish texture. It's rainbow. Just straight draws are definitely out there. And he's blocking continues. So there's a lot. The trapper might get trapped now because we'll see what he does. He checks. All right, now, well, that card sucks, obviously, if you have ace jack, but you have a value hand still, so you need to bet here. So he needs to catch up. He needs to recapture the EV he lost by checking. So he should go big. He should go like a B75 to pot. But it's pretty scary because got a straight out.
So you think that the catch up is more important than the fact that equity just completed? Because those are competing heuristics.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think they are competing heuristics. And I think that the value of a hand does trump the completed equity.
Right.
I think top two does trump it.
Sounds good. And then he has all kinds of gut shots he can call with, and so
yeah. So queen's probably going to call here after the check on flop.
Yeah.
So
both of
4 to a straight, he just needs to check and hope for a check back. We're not going to be able to bet here. Can't value bet.
How big do the queens bet?
So he's got, how big would the queens bet? So there's a concept that Peter Clark talks about, which is called magnitude trumps frequency, which translates into what we talk about a lot here, which is you bet bigger with the very top of range, even though you get called less, because magnitude trumps frequency. So I would pot to B150. So yeah, I would use this size. And ace jack is in a horrible place now, and generally I don't think I can give an honest answer because I am influenced by the cards.
Yeah.
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 So while you're putting that one in just to see the turn, because I want to know what the sizing on the turn is because of those two competing things.
Do you want to put it into solve?
Yeah, I wanna
Okay,
look at-
well, let me see the whole run out.
while you do that, so we have one theory, which
This is, sorry, I
Oh.
apologize for interrupting. Obviously, he's not gonna have, solve is gonna be scuffed because he's clearly not gonna have queens, but we can do
Oh,
it.
oh no, he never has queens. Never mind.
Yeah,
Never mind.
cutoff button probably
We
doesn't
don't
have
care. We
queens
don't care
here.
about the queens. We
You
only
just
care,
wanna know theory sizing, right?
yeah, we only care about the ace jack size. Because although he doesn't have queens here, on the river, he has queens in his range.
And I'm gonna be a nerd now and talk to you guys about, a new podcast. I think Dean sent it to me, actually. That is Isaac Haxton talking to, Jonathan Jaffe. It's an hour-long podcast. And, Haxton has a lot of interesting things to say about sizing in solvers. Essentially, what it comes down to is that he says it really doesn't matter that much if you're within a certain, if you're not ridiculous. It doesn't really affect your EV. And I've been thinking about that a lot. But anyway, I'll later on I'll put a link in to that. It's like essentially it's Ike Haxton and Jonathan Jaffe, arguably two of the best poker players in the world, talking for an hour. So I'll put it in chat. And I'll set this up and then
Good.
I'll let you guys
Well, you
go
know
on
what's
and come back to
interesting, when you look at the solvers even, the EV seems almost the same depending, regardless of bet size. Even if it'll say, 100% you should make this bet, it's like a difference of 0.02 EV or something.
Sometimes, but
Yeah,
remember.
it's pretty close.
But remember, 0.02 EV is 2 big blinds per 100. And if you have a massive win rate like I do of 1.5 big blinds per 100, that's double my win rate by doing that right.
But that, yeah, I think when you have to give your win rate, you also have to give the fact that you're paying 7 big blinds per 100 in rig.
Yeah.
So your
Yes,
win
you're
rate's
right,
actually,
I'd be happy to get an extra 2 big blinds per 100. I wasn't, okay.
All right.
you guys want me to bring this up?
Yep. So our
Uh,
ace jack.
It's here if you
Okay.
want to see it.
Okay,
Yep,
that's
good.
fine. You got it.
Ace jack mixes. Makes sense.
But yeah, you can see the heavy check.
Yep.
Frequency.
Yep.
Button. What did they do? They
Ace
checked.
jack,
And again, there's no queens on a cutoff versus button.
right. But he does have king, king, queen, jack, I think.
Now the cutoff with his ace jack. Look, it's still a lot of checking.
Yeah. And when he bets, there's the answer for the tension. He goes for all three sizes.
Yeah, so that's what you're really after. Yeah. Tension between strategies.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's.
Yeah.
That's it. And then we can see what we can see that after we can see what happens after the bluff if you want, but I don't care.
I feel like the ace jack was probably a pretty good fold. He went pot.
Call it 12. If he folds to 12, we're definitely folding the bigger one.
So
Mixes.
A lot of calling with 12. And then 125 and then 150 instead of when he bets 20.
yeah, and then of course this is assuming, that they don't have
Yeah.
queens in their pocket queens in their range.
Yeah.
So that takes 6 combos away.
Yeah, I mean, so when we look at these, we really have to be super aware of the fact that in position, like can you go to the button pre-flop and just kick that node? Like what they're called, yeah, right there. And then just click on call. Hit the green. I'm sorry, below. Yeah, that one. Thanks, Mike. This is a super condensed range. We've got it normalized so it looks bigger than it is visually. But this is just like, it's just, yeah, that's it, range height. in, in, in the solver, this is just like, it's 2% of hands. What does, someone who's sliding queens have? They have 30% of hands, 40% of hands. So that's drastic, that would drastically change what our, strat would be.
Now solver, I think, will start to get queens as a call when the raise comes from an earlier position.
Mhm.
So like the low jack, now queens are starting to sneak in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so before we leave this hand, you don't need the solver for it. The thing that Larry said about the idea that magnitude is more important than frequency, that's true. And then here is a counter strategy to that, and this is Hungry Horse's strategy. I think Hungry Horse looks at the king at the end and when he's got queen, queen, and asks the question, okay, what is queen, queen? Queen is value. Queen is that's the nuts. Therefore, what do I want to do with my bluffs? My bluffs want to go big on this board because they need to get a pair and two pair to fold. So since my bluffs want to go big, very big, like 2x pot big, now my value needs to go small. And small is probably anything from 50 to 100. So that's the argument for why you would do queen small here if you were following Hungry Horse logic rather than the person who, what was the person, Larry, who you gave?
Peter Clark, carrot corner.
Clark. Peter Clark, and also probably Solver. Solver probably goes big on the river with the queen. Did we see? Oh, we didn't even see what the button strat was when he has a queen. What is his?
Right now I'm just running it as if they have pocket queen. So we did it versus the low jack.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
And just kind of going through here. They called, yep.
They called their queens.
Did I mess up the action? Low jack bet 75. They call. Oops. Yeah. No, that was right. Right.
Check on the flop. Then when bet and the queens called one.
Okay. And then the kings, and then low jack.
Checked.
Yeah. Checked. Okay.
Checked.
Then the button went pot. We'll start here.
Except look at the queen, queen. What is?
Oh,
Look at the button sizing. Look at what he should do on the queen, queen. He should. It's Hungry Horse style.
Yeah,
He's,
that's your
he's
point.
going half pot.
He just doesn't have anything he can call.
Yep. And he has to go small with a call to get a call. He
Yeah.
just doesn't have big bets. And so this isn't Hungry Horse style because Hungry Horse is going to bet his bluff bigger.
Can you look at the breakdown tab here real quick? So it looks, yeah, so our straights are, which is a queen, like some of them, the very best ones, which must be the ones that unblock his calls, do sometimes use a B74.
Yeah.
But mostly it's a B50.
Right.
Yeah, so it likes the queens because it's unblocking his ace jack, ace king.
Yep.
It likes the queens because it's unblocking his
Yeah.
his calls.
And then when we have an ace, we have to bet smaller.
Yeah, we don't like blocking his ace.
And then what do we? And then we bluff with nonsense. We bluff with some aces. With some small aces. Okay.
yeah. Notice the ace jack folds considerably more in this node or this version.
Leanne is up.
Okay. I think it'll fold to the eights. Maybe those sevens would bet, but I think it'll fold to the eights and we'll raise and then I think win.
I think it's gonna be sevens raise and eights call, but this is because I'm cheating because we know that two players see the pot.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah, and that's also,
That's not-
that's certainly a
That's
reasonable
not
call.
unreasonable either, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
sure, that's fine.
Okay, so the sevens will check. And I'm probably supposed to check with those eights with my marginal made, but to be honest, I'm gonna probably bet them.
Check, check.
I think the sevens will check again. And and I'm gonna try betting for a second time with those eights.
Check, check.
All right. I think the sevens might try betting, to be honest.
To get
I'm
value.
just thinking what I would do. I might try betting with them.
Yeah.
And hope to get a call from ace king or something. All right. And then the sevens, I think, will call.
Yeah,
Yep. I wonder what kind of frequency if you raise sevens in the low jack and get called in position and have a paired flop, queen high pairs, if they should be c betting more often. Like it's not a range check, I feel.
Yep.
Any thoughts?
that's, I think
Hmm.
sevens are gonna do a lot of checking.
I don't know. I know they're going to still have checking in the range or checking within the options. However, I don't think it's a range check. Do we?
No, I don't think this is a range check board. That is my prediction.
And it was rainbow, right? Queen, queen six.
Yeah. But I think sevens are gonna check.
So it's got a, what, about a 19, 20%
Mixes,
C bet.
okay.
Okay.
And no hand, what is the hand that bets the most here?
Like these king X hands.
Yeah, the wrap,
Hmm.
they wrap. But even the ones that bet the most,
Oh yeah, jack
don't
10.
bet more than 40% of the time. Is that true? So just visually, it looks like maybe king bets the most often. And how
No,
often?
jack 10. Like Dean C, jack 10s, it looks like it's the most.
Okay, jack,
Actually, those sort of backdoor flush draws there seem to be betting the most. King, jack, king 10.
right. So click on one of those, like the jack 10, and just see. The one that, even that, okay, so these at least have, these are hands that have majority bets, so we've got that.
Yeah.
Still, a lot of checking out of position. Richie, welcome. If you want to unmute, actually, I'll let you go after Skate Me if you want to go. You'll see what we do. And then if you want to do it, you will have a chance to do this on the hand after this one. Skate, you're up. Or the hand after mine.
All right, let's open 7 deuce. Not bluffing. Let's ace 8 suited might open and 6-9 call.
Well, ace 8, yeah, we know we're going to see what happens here. Ace 8 is probably going to open, and it should, but then it should raise and take it. But we're going to get, oh, we got a limp.
That's why.
Or that.
There's your answer.
9-7 is a very interesting hand here. Get in. I think I prefer this to a limp.
Although I want it bigger. I want
Yeah,
five.
Agreed.
that's
Agreed.
versus a broken stack.
He might have downsized it because it's a broken stick. And
All right.
and like if you made it bigger, the SPR gets really awkward.
Skate, no, we can't see your screen.
Okay, cool. Because I just woke up and my camera sometimes
Okay.
turns on when I turn it off for some odd reason.
Hmm.
Okay.
I hope that's not disappointing for you, Skate, that we can't see you. We just woke up.
No, it's not.
So you got a tough one, Skate. You had a limp
Dan's gonna
and
get good.
ISO out of position. Here's your flop.
All right, we have open-ended. I think we can Oh no, this is a limp. No, I'm sorry. You guys were talking about so pre-flop, limp, and then 9-7 raised. Obviously, right, and then big blind folded. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we could definitely let's do some betting here. Let's go. We don't have to go too big. Let's go. Let's bet like 4 big blinds, 3 big blinds, something like that.
And
Yeah, there
this
we
is
go.
that king high flop from last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, although our king high study doesn't make any sense here because he's a limper and we weren't looking at the limp range. One of the things we know about the actual limp range has some kings in it. Some offsuit kings, those are at the top of that R there.
I think this is a better flop for the ISO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this almost plays as if you were like in position, or like if you were maybe like hijack versus button kind of thing.
Yeah. I like his bet. Let's see whoever it goes.
This is interesting. Well, what do you think, Skate? I'm gonna shut up.
Well, I think that well, I know that we picked up more equity, although the king is there's less of a chance of us, the ISO, having a king, but maybe the limper does not know that. So, well, regardless, we picked up equity, so we could still bet, and we could bet big because a king is better for us. So, I imagine I imagine this person's gonna go some. Oh, I did not know they were gonna go that big, but okay.
This is Dean C playing here in the small blind.
Okay.
How about the ace 8 call?
Whoa.
This is
It's
Some people are just gonna station.
He's unblocking all the flush draws.
yeah.
Yeah,
well,
What's that?
he's not thinking about that though. Just thinking he
true,
has a
but
pair.
maybe like I mean, I don't think it's bad. I mean, regardless that we could see the card or not, the ISO came from the small blind, which is going to have a pretty wide ISOing range, and they have the villain there that calls has middle pairs. So with the ace kicker, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Um,
I think I think the
I
call
think
is
it's good.
pretty decent. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of bluff. I mean, we see he's got bluffs, but
Yep.
think of all the ace X they have. Broadway Queen Jacks. I don't know. Maybe I think it's close.
I think that yeah, the sizing tell right on the turn, that huge bet on the king. Of course, there's a flush draw there, but yeah, I would go smaller. I mean, with value, of course, right?
he gets it.
I would probably hate it. I just don't know. I'm just trying to determine if you think that call is good or not on the.
So the king reduces his kings. If
Mhm.
he essentially flopped the nuts on turn, would he put us all in on turn? And I would be a little suspect. I don't think I'd call this pure if I was broke a stack. But I think there's some room for calling. But I don't, you know. Yeah, I would ISO king 10, I think. Especially against a broken stack I want to play with. Yeah,
So
double them up.
so for him, for the caller, the ace 8, he also can he can look at a simplified thing of what's his SPR. It's around 1.5-ish. And do you fold second pair 1.5 at a 1.5 SPR? You certainly don't fold it at a 0.8 SPR.
Yeah, that's valid.
Now, now we're almost in tournament land. And then the
Yeah,
king
that's a good point.
lowers
A
their,
hard.
yeah.
You're also blocking. So, and also, I mean, if you want to get technical about it, you've got a good blocker.
You like the ace?
Yeah, you're blocking his ace kings.
Yeah, which he always three bets. Yeah, okay. I was so
True.
the 7-9 to get there so much. I wanted him to get there.
Well, 40% of the time,
Yeah, yeah.
he had an overcard and
He had 18 outs.
Who's next?
Next is me, and then it's gonna go to Ricci. And as an exercise for the reader, construct a board where you're behind on the turn, but you have the largest number of outs. How many outs can you have? That's my little thing to you. All right, here we go. Ace-9 suited raises, queen calls a lot, doesn't three bet there. There is the amount of three betting in the solver for the queen right there is like 12%. It's almost always calling. So I'm gonna assume that that's what he does. And then and then the 10-10 should be in there too, but he isn't.
I'm
So
gonna I, I'm gonna take issue with your almost always calling queens there.
look in Mr. Solver.
I don't know what
Well,
a solver wouldn't allow us to call.
Oh, no,
personally.
I'm wrong. No, I'm an idiot. I'm a complete idiot. I was doing the big blind range. No, queen there is
What do you-
a 100% raise, 100%
Yeah.
raise.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Scotty.
No,
Okay.
I was in the big blind. I just
Yeah,
lost,
I was thinking about that. I was like,
just completely lost my mind. Okay. But since that doesn't happen, so let's do it the right way. Ace-9 raises, queen three bets, and the 10-10 should fold. You shouldn't play 10-10 there in that position, and then the ace-9 suited should fold. That's what should happen.
Do you get to,
What's
I think you get to, I think if you're playing solver, do you get to mix folding queens necessarily?
Do you?
Mm,
No, I
I
don't
don't
have any
think
fold.
so.
nope,
No,
nope.
no fold of queens
I
there.
don't think
Okay.
so. We can see it quickly here.
Studying this one and I blew it there. No, yes, it does.
Oh, it does. Yep, it does.
It's half. It's half.
Oh wow.
Doesn't come in till
Now, I will say that, playing live, it's probably fine to play this queens because you're just not gonna get the cold four enough.
Yeah.
There are no cold four bluffs.
Um, so that's what I think should happen. So in Solverland, what might happen, the ace-9 might raise, and then the queen, this might be the rare time he folds it, and then the 10-10 chooses to not play that way and calls. But I think what's most likely is actually that the ace-9 is gonna fold, the queen's gonna raise, and the 10-10 is gonna call.
Yeah, I agree.
That's only knowing.
Oh,
Okay,
weird.
All right,
Interesting.
queen, he calls, and the 10-10 gets out of there? Oh, we still have this node. Okay. So 10-10 raises. Ace-9 suited should fold. And queen. I guess he did this to play second hand.
Call.
Oh, he definitely should.
No, he should shove. He
He's
should
just
shove and play
too.
out
Yeah.
of position, I think.
Yeah, shove. Good. Let's see what he does.
Okay.
No,
He loves his hand.
he wants to keep the guy in. Because that is
So 10-10 is a very interesting spot here. Pot odds of 22%.
Mhm.
Broke a stack, no implied odds. This looks hyper trappy strong.
Yeah.
This looks like trapping aces.
But he doesn't care. Come on, ace king on the flop. Make it hard for these guys. All right. Queens should, at a 1-to-1 SPR here, be willing to get it in, even with the ace on the board. If they're willing to get it in, and they have the queen of spades, the only card they don't want to see is a king. And even a king of spades isn't the worst thing in the world. So I think they should check and let the guy bluff. But he doesn't. He just wants it to be over. Okay.
I'm with you. I think you're either. I mean, if you're going to go broke here with the 1-to-1 SPR anyway, like if you check and he jams, you're going to call, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think checking is better than what he did, jamming.
Exactly. That was what I was saying is if I'm not going to
Yeah.
try to figure it out, let's,
But what about a smaller bet?
Okay.
What about like a B25 or B20?
I think that's a better bet here. It's a very awkward SPR. But I think like a
What do you-
B20 is a
So
good
let's say
bet.
you B20, let's say you B20 and the turn comes a blank. Do you want to check and give him a chance to bluff, or are you gonna slowly try to get called by pocket jacks by going bet, bet? Or are you gonna try to bet twice and then check the river and hope it checks through and get,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe check's better.
yeah. Yeah, which is why, I mean, yeah, okay, good enough. So now, Richie, you're up. You can type, you can
Hello.
chat. Undo. All right, welcome, Richie.
Hi. Sorry, I'm quite new to I guess a study group. So
So here's
this
what
is the
we're
first
doing.
time I'm watching it.
Real simple. We're gonna look and just look at the first thing we do is look and say, how should this hand play out? If people were playing what we think is correct, let's call out what they should do. Then we see what they do to see if we're right, so you call out first what you think they should do, then you say, but here's what I think they're gonna do, and then we see what they do, just to
Yeah.
test those things. So we'll start with
Okay.
that.
So really, it should fold round to the hijack at the least, and the hijack might have decision if they're gonna obviously bet or fold it. I think realistically they would probably fold it. And then it go round to the king, who would obviously the kings who would do the bet on the button. But I'm guessing in this case they might actually do an initial bet from the hijack, and then the king should three bet it most of the time. Well, pretty much all the time, but you never know. They might actually call it to try and trap, but then you're introducing the blinds to potentially limp in as well. The blinds should both fold, obviously, with the initial action in front of them.
Don't hit the button. Don't hit the button, Mike. Wait for it, Mike. And
But
then after the king's raise, what should the 4-5 suited do after the raise?
so there is some call in here. If they obviously are in this pot, they should some call, see the flop at least. But it's really a mix, isn't it?
I agree. I think the 4-5 calls pure after when he raises. I think he calls pure against the 3-bet. And everything you just said is right. And because of one additional piece of information that you don't have that we have, I'm going to say that what's going to happen is the 4-5 is going to limp, the king is going to raise, and the 4-5 is going to call. And the additional piece of information that we had that you didn't was, we know that two people see the flop and there's a caller.
I've just noticed as well their VPIP actually is 41 and their PR is 5, so they're quite limpy, is it?
All right, so here we go. So let's see what happens. Yep.
Yeah.
But your analysis was spot on. All right.
Okay.
What size do you make it? Is it Richie or Ricky?
It's Richie, yeah. Richie.
Gotcha.
So here, because you've got a limper, it depends on what your standard raises are, right? I would probably off a button, I would raise 3 big blinds in a cash game. So with a 1 limper, I'd probably do 4 big blinds for here.
Okay.
Might be a bit too small, but yeah, 4 big blinds.
Sounds good. The Jonathan Little standard is 4.5 big blinds, and he goes 5, but 4.55, they're real similar. Just as long as you don't 3. 3 is just too small.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So you don't know his hand. You've got 4-5 suited. What should you do?
So as the 4-5 suited player, someone's raised behind you after limping. I don't really limp often, so I don't really study, which is probably a flaw actually, study limping play that much.
It's not a flaw, definitely not at a raked game. If you play in raked games, it
No,
really
Richie
doesn't
isn't
make
saying
sense.
that it's not limping as a flaw. Richie's saying that his not studying what limpers do. is a
Yeah,
flaw.
because then I can't exploit it, I guess, right? Thinking as
Oh,
much.
okay.
So yeah. Okay, so in this instant, out of position, most of the time, I would think it should be a check, even if you had a better hand than 4-5. I would probably check this, especially being the limper caller. The kings then obviously defending, it could be either an option of, slow playing your kings because you've got top set, but really you just want to start building the pot, right? So I'd bet here. I'd probably bet 33% here,
Sounds good. He goes tiny.
25%-ish, is it? They've gone slightly under 20, is it?
Yeah, they've gone quite small, which I think is good. I would use those size.
Okay.
I mean, I want to keep his range super wide. If I've got nine, I mean, you could see the equities here. I've got 93% equity. I want to keep everything he has in it.
And against this 2.72, I think the 4-5 suited might need to call.
Ugh,
Yeah, it's quite
really?
backdoor straight, backdoor flush for such a small bet, potentially bluff off as well, because you don't know what they have. They could have a king, they might not, right? So I think, yeah, you would at least call one hand for this
I would call
amount,
one for
right?
this size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for this
wouldn't.
size, I
Not,
think.
Yeah.
not out of position, I wouldn't.
Okay,
Yeah, I would fold.
all right.
They do call though.
I mean, guys, you've got, let's look at our, can we go back one click?
Yep.
Our SPR is 9, right? You've got, I see your point, and you've got 3% to the straight, the backdoor straight, you got 3% to the
Backdoor
backdoor flush, and your SPR is 9. You've got significant implied odds here. But
And-
this doesn't look like a natural call. But when you factor in implied odds, it gets close.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking about your range as well, right, and just forget you've got 4-5, you do have middling connectors, suited connectors. So you could have the spade connectors, you could have another straight here. The kings could potentially be concerned by a number of scare cards coming out.
You also have all the
Um,
eights. You don't have twos usually, but you have all the eights.
Exactly, yeah. So the kings will be happy if you have eight, right? Because they've got the higher thing, but they could be scared of straight and fleshy cards on the turn,
Yeah.
right? So I think this is a reasonable call for the price.
Who here is considering bluffing the turn if the turn is a spade? And also, if you would bluff, would you bluff without a spade in your hands?
I don't have a turn donk bluff range. Other people use that, but it's not in my arsenal.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would probably bluff with a check raise on the turn because you're not unlikely going to win it any other way. But I don't think I would donk bluff with a spade. There's an opportunity to, but then if you donk bluff with the spade, depending what the card is on the river, you would probably continue that bluff, right? If they call. The problem with my option is if you go check raise, it could be just check through, and then you're not really going to get a bluff through on the river, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if a spade comes out, it's definitely a bluffing opportunity. With it being a 9, right? The only scare for the button is a potential, I guess, straight, because you more than likely are going to have these middling suited connectors, right? So the kings here, as a 4-5, you haven't made the straight. You might have a 2 pair, but as an 8-9 2 pair, because kings aren't really in your range. So I don't think you would donk here. It would still be a case of checking and seeing what the button did and then making your decision there. And then the kings now, as the button position, are probably getting a bit concerned because, there is a chance of a straight.
There's no straight.
No, as in coming up because there's an 8-9 now, right? You could have this person could have 7-6. They could have a gut shot straight as well as open-ended straight. The kings are still concerned about maybe the spades are within their, they have they're chasing the flush. So the kings probably go a bit biggie here now because they do want to get some value, but they also want to protect, I would say. Don't know if you agree with that or not.
I do. Because you will often get paid by a 10-9. You'll often get paid by a 6-7. You'll often get paid by spades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking even bigger. Like you can overbet, really polarize.
So what, like a 120, 150% or?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's within the toolkit for sure.
Yeah, somewhere it's what is this about? This is
This looks like a 75.
yeah, 75. Yeah, I don't think you would go smaller than 75, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course 4-5.
So the only thing here is now this would be potentially because it's a 75 bet. If it was anything over 75, I don't think I would bluff as the 4-5. With a 75 bet, I would maybe consider, unlikely, but maybe consider doing a check raise bluff because you know you're not going to win it with a call or any form of showdown, right? So, but yeah, the smartest option is just folding here.
Yeah, I think I would only do the check raise bluff if I picked up equity, if I had a chance of the river
Yeah,
best hand.
with a club slash potential straight as well, right?
Yeah.
So if you were getting
yeah,
either an open-ended straight or a very worst a gut shot straight, you would want the flush draw with I would probably say at the worst a gut shot straight.
Yeah. If you picked up the best card in the world, the 3 of clubs, you might consider check calling to not have to call a jam. You might consider that. But if you pick up a card just like a 6, where you have a gut shot, so you would have to fold to just his bet, that one you might choose to check raise. And then if you get jammed on, you go, oh, fine, I wasn't going to get there anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
But when you get called, you need to have some way to make the nuts if you get called.
Yeah.
9-10 of spade. Yes, you have the straight flush. I mean, you could check raise the 9-10 of spade and be just willing to get it all in, but you'd rather not. You'd rather not get all in. So I think it's an easier check call than a check raise when it's as big as 9-10 spade. I mean, yeah, he's not talking. You didn't mean 9-10 spade. You do mean 9-10. I thought you meant 10 jack, where you've got all the straight draws. With a 9-10 spade, I absolutely wouldn't raise because now I'm marginally made. The 9 can be the best hand against his spade bluffs. Yeah. So if anything, if I had 9-10 spade, I would call, not raise. Me. Could be wrong. Okay. Mike is next.
Okay. 8's in that early is going to mix fold and raise. And then let's just assume they fold for now. Ace 10 should raise. There is a poster there.
Yep.
But either one of these two who raise should raise and take it, would be what theory would allow for. But what's going to happen is probably 8's are going to maybe limp, maybe raise, and ace 10 might call, queen jack might call. So there's a lot of stuff that could happen here.
Okay, one thing before you go on, there's no chance that after a limp ace 10 was calling. Ace 10 is you.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, they would not be calling.
You were not calling a limp there with ace 10.
So 8's do raise and they go pot from early position there. Ace 10 should fold. What's going to happen is queen jack is going to call. That's because we know the filter.
Yep. And because we also know about posters.
Yeah, and he's a poster, and so you just figure you're going to get called wider. And so we get this flop, and that's actually a pretty damn good flop for the early position raiser. I would imagine 8 still probably just kind of want to check. It might be one of the hands that you're going to find in a heavily c-bet flop here. 8's might be an exception, but I'm not sure. And then of course, so they do check. The queens, once somebody that has a very high frequency c-bet checks, I think the in position player now kind of gets to kind of go ham a little bit. And in this particular spot, I would imagine they can, I'm not sure what size, probably any sizing you want with this hand, but yeah, we're kind of off solver now that we're in the cutoff, but certainly should be betting. And he chooses small, which I think is fine. And 8 should just fold. They do. Yeah.
Right.
Any Any objections to any of that? I
Nope.
am curious. I am curious about the C bet frequency early position versus this flop like this.
So just make it an early position raise versus a button call.
Yeah,
and
versus button
ignore,
call.
ignore the SPR distortion from the poster and just see.
I was going to say, surely it would be an early position continuation, right? Because it hits your range better. The player, should I say, who is just posting and then calling, could be
Yeah.
quite wide range. So you're taking a stab for it / getting information. Where if you're just checking, they could be betting with anything, and then you're either folding with not much information or
Yeah,
just basically giving up, it feels like, right? If they call, at least you have some information, and then it's unlikely you're going to hit the obviously 8 on the turn or river. The turn, because that's all we're potentially playing to, because you would fold to any form of continuation. I guess you should check in my eyes on the turn if they call you on the flop. So but you could, right? And you've built up the pot if you do, because realistically, if you bet they call, then you hit the 8, you're likely winning that, right? If you bet and they raise you, then you just walk away. You're in, okay, they must have had the queen or they've left me, right?
I think we're gonna have a lot of checking. We have lots of small bets.
Okay, no, it's a pure range bet. Pure range bet. So I thought maybe some of these might get to the exception, but no, it's what I figured. I figured it was going to be a very, very high frequent C bet, just like Richie said. I thought there might be some exceptions, but nope, there's not.
And I was certainly wrong on this one. I didn't see this coming.
No, neither did I. I thought this was gonna be a check.
So this is really not for this hand, excuse me, but this is really worth learning here, which is that we do so much checking out of position, and then there are some boards where we just bet out of position range. So do one thing here. Let's see if we can, let's change our initial position if possible.
Before
Move
we
it-
do that, we could look at something else before we change
Yeah.
positions. Thank
Okay.
you, Scott. Scotty, just real quick, can we look at range versus range just to understand a little bit about why this is a C bet? So there's your answer. So, I mean, he's got there's not that much of a combo divide as well, as you see often. I mean, UTG has 97 combos. Imposition has 57, but you could see this is just a massive range advantage. I mean, if you go to trips, you click on trips in your filters, Mike. Yeah, we're just dominating. Okay, that's all I wanted to see. Thanks.
Okay.
And then what I wanted to see as well, and this will apply to the next thing we look at, is when we do check, which there's just tiny bit of slivers of checking happening.
Yeah.
What does that do to the button? Does the button get to kind of go ham here, or do they continue to be cautious? They continue to be cautious, I guess.
They just know we have a huge range advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where I think the button might actually check back to induce, right? Because they know you have the range advantage. They know you might bet an ace on the turn or try and bluff it because of your range advantage. So they would want to trap. So I think in this case, if they would check to, they should check back with the trips.
Solver agrees with you, yeah.
How early did you want to go, Scott?
I just go to the under the gun one and see, and let's just see how it changes it. Or is it gonna make us put in the flop again?
Yeah.
Oh, do it every time.
It was rainbow, right?
Ace, queen, rainbow. Yep, we still do it. And then go all the way to, go to low jack or hijack. Let's just see if it's a magical EP property.
All right. Now we start to get a little bit more.
But still, we bet our eights. Okay. This is really good. Yeah. So the principle wasn't just that you had to be, under the gun. The low jack does it. Okay, great. I'm happy with that. Dean says, just sucks their bluffs have tons of equity, but if we add in all the offsuit combos we can bluff with, we probably start betting more. I don't know what any of that means, but I read it.
Okay.
Okay. So that was Mike. So Dean is up. Dean types and says, because it's a poster, they have tons of offsuit, like the queen jack offsuit. Yeah, yeah, gotcha. Okay, that now I understand. All right. So what Dean typed was because they were a poster, because it was a poster who was calling, they have tons of offsuit stuff like that queen jack offsuit. All right. So how about this next hand, Dean? Take a look at this. Who's opening? King queen will open and 8-9 suited will call. Absolutely. On the flop, what should king queen offsuit do? Dean is thinking. C-bet small. That's reasonable. It is a draw technically, so we can bet it. We can also check raise it as a draw. And this board between hijack and between cutoff and button, Larry said that the cutoff to button is the setup that is most often checked out of position. Is that correct, Larry? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's like 70%.
Right. So with that in mind, just checking is also fine, but we're going for a C-bet small. Let's see what he does. He does the C-bet. He does the C-bet kind of big.
Yeah, I wonder, is this board a more of a bigger bet board?
It is dynamic because the next card can easily be bigger than a jack. It's dry. And it's rainbow. Which
Yeah,
makes
it's polarizing.
yeah.
Pick a polarizing strat.
Look at that. Never bet small.
So the rainbow
Good
nature
point.
is important, right? You get bigger bets on rainbow boards.
Sometimes there are exceptions to that.
There's always exception.
Yeah, I
Always
mean, that was the one we were trying to figure out. But yeah, but he does the larger bet. He finds that good. And the king queen did it, right? In the solve.
Yeah, yeah, they went half pot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great.
yeah, they do have some half pots in there.
Yeah. And to that larger size, it seems like 8-9 has to fold. And is that true in the solver?
I would imagine so.
I would.
8-9 of diamonds, indifferent,
Yeah.
mostly fold.
Yep. And then the magical spade thing where the fact that it's the top card and the second card, you do it more with the top card, less with the second card, less with the third card because of some very intricate blocker properties that Danny could explain. And even then it would take him a while to explain it to me. All right, Larry is up.
Okay. So, hijack, low jack. 10-9 feels a little early. I think the 10-9 should fold. And then Jack 10 should open. Jack 9 is, this is going to be weird. I think the Jack 9's a broken stack, so it's going to flat, but it shouldn't flat. And then the kings should it should squeeze, which is going to be two flats in front of it.
Yeah, the 10-9 does have like 12% raises here. He doesn't have to take it, but he has it. He does.
Now it's going to get interesting. So Jack 10 is like 3-better fold here.
Right, but he's gonna call. We know that. We know he's calling.
Now, well, Jack 9 should get out, but he's probably going to call because he's okay. So what the interesting question now is what size king should use? And so I think our base is about, so our base to squeeze is 9 plus an extra caller. I would go 11 or 12 here.
I think, wait a minute,
I would
shouldn't it?
size up because your original razor is you're both really deep.
That's a really good point, Mike. So maybe 15?
Yeah,
Yeah, you have a good point.
But at least 13.5, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say minimum.
But then there's
of
also
pot.
an argument that we've got kings,
Yeah, okay, at least 13.
but I see your point. I see your point about a bigger size. Yeah, Mike's mind meddled with the button player. So 10-9 to this size is out. This is never a call. Jack 10 should be out with someone to act behind.
It's a party.
Wow.
All right,
Jack 10's a gambler.
yes.
Yeah.
This is a pure fold. Yeah, we got the gamble on, boys.
I think, but if you're king there,
What's his
I
equity?
think you should not be surprised when the Jack 10 shows you ace here. You should, I don't think you should fold, but you should not be surprised.
Why? So do people, I mean, how often is the flat with aces there?
Second hand low, baby. Go back to 1980, 1990. It's there.
King. No. Second
I
hand
would, it
low.
would cross my mind.
Oh my
I would be
God, the
concerned.
king would have been so painful. Of
So
all-
my argument is anybody on this call flatting aces where the hijack is?
No,
No.
Nope.
if you
It
are,
just-
get off this call.
Nope. Nope.
It doesn't make sense. You don't want to take aces multi-way.
Right.
It all
It-
depends on the player, right?
Yeah. it
There's
could
not
be-
enough
yeah.
information on this player, but some players would definitely flat it to
I mean, the
induce
only
that,
time-
especially
yeah,
with the
some-
small one behind.
yeah, you're right. There's definitely players that are going to trap. It's just, I mean, it's just like, I was talking to someone this morning. You just don't want to take hands multi-way. It's like diluted equity, right?
Yeah, no,
Don't-
100%. And that's
mean, the
one
example
reason
I
why the
always
kings
give it-
size up, right?
Say it again, Richie.
That's one reason why the kings end up sizing up for their raise, because they don't want to take it multi. They're happy to have a caller or someone who
Yeah.
shoves,
Yes.
but they size up because they don't want multi callers.
Yeah. The example I always use, and I've said this before on this call. Heads up, aces is about 80%. Three-way, it's about 60%. I'll take 80% of 60%. Thank
Yep.
you.
And four-way it goes below 50%.
Hey, look, there's your camera.
Yeah, I turned my camera on for a real reason, which is no one on this call should be flatting aces there. And if you do, you shouldn't be on this call. We said that already. But if you see a guy at the table who's about my age, look at me, everybody look at me. See a guy about
So
my
about
age,
25.
about 25, yeah. You see a guy who's in his 50s, 60s at the table, and you see him do this. I'm not saying you should be folding your kings there. I'm saying do not be surprised that that is aces, because that's an old man, that's an old guy play from the 1980s, 1990s. It had a name. That's how common it was.
And he
was
called it
called-
second hand low.
Second hand low,
What is the origin of that name? I don't understand the mechanics of that name.
because you're this, okay. You've got aces at a table, at a live table. This is before we had online poker particularly. There were no solvers. Nobody played like that.
Yeah.
So you have all these multi-way hands. Lots of hands went multi-way.
Mhm.
And people did the thing of attacking the multi-way. That happened. So
Ah,
if the early player is early enough and you are early enough with your aces, there's a good chance you're going to get 3-bet behind.
and then you could, yeah. So,
And you-
playing
and then-
live, I've been playing these live tournaments just to get live practice.
Yep.
Lots of limp trapping of aces and kings.
Right. And so
Over limp trapping.
right, you wouldn't do it in the third or fourth position, because the more people in, the more you incentivize people to just come in with their 9 deuce suited and not do it. But the guy who comes in and tries to say, if I can get the first guy to fold, I'll definitely get the second guy to fold because he's capped, right? Although we didn't have that language back then.
Yeah.
So the guy says, I'm not capped. You just think I'm capped. And so I'm not saying it was the most common way to play aces. It wasn't, but it was common enough that it had a name. Second hand low.
Got it.
That's what it is. You're the second hand in and you play low with your aces. You don't fold kings there.
The made an interesting comment that that's terminology used in bridge as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. That could have been where it came from, right? Where you signal, you signal to your partner that have you signal you have the ace of the suit? I don't even remember my bridge. It was a long time ago. Okay, but either way, that was Larry's hand. No,
That was my hand. So is
Okay, Okay.
Okay,
Leanne,
I was
you're-
gonna talk about bridge, but we don't need to go
oh,
there.
okay, Leanne's up.
No. Who's up?
Leanne,
Oh, okay. Okay, let's see here. Ace 10 I think is gonna bet. Then that second ace 10 offsuit should fold, and then the kings should re-raise.
Correct, in theory, but we get this.
Yeah.
what size should their 3-bet be, Leanne?
Okay, they're 3-bet, they're out of position. Oh, ace 10 offsuit call. Oh,
Yes.
that's interesting. Okay. Let's see. So they're out of position, so the 3-bet should be about uh around 13, 14.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
You
I like
nailed it,
14.
Leanne.
I like 14. Yep. Perfect. Let's see what they do. We are shallow, so 10. Yeah, we are shallow. We shouldn't be shallow, but yeah, that's true, Skate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's kind of two competing arguments here. Like Dean's thinking he can just jam, and Skate's saying, a little shallower because of our shallow stack.
On the other hand, I'm not sure if I want kings out of position 3-way.
That's what I was about to say. Being out of position, short stacked, potential, well, at 1 to 2 corners, right? With a 13 bet, I think a jam here is reasonable.
Mhm.
But
It's
also
pretty-
you go 14, you get, and if you get called in 2 places, the pot is then 42, and you've got an SPR of 1, so you just can jam any flop that doesn't have an ace, and then you can decide what to do when that flop has an ace.
I think if I were the short stack here, I would prefer a jam with ace king. And I think your hand is so good, I prefer this size.
I like this.
And just so we're clear, this ace 10 call here is not a thing.
No.
It is a bad thing. It is a 2.5 big blind go away thing.
Now, how about ace 10 in the low jack -1 there?
I don't know. I think they should fold, but I guess they're not going to, or we wouldn't have 2 people going to the flop.
Yeah, they do call, but how about in theory? Let's assume this was a full stack. Let's pretend. I think it's a fold now. I think you get some 4-bet bluffs.
Maybe. I feel like I'm at the bottom of my range or close to it there, but
This
Do
is
you
where it
ever-
gets interesting because
you ever call?
your ace 10 might go up in value because of the shorter stack, but generally I would think that a broken stack, which is squeezing, doesn't have a bluffing range.
No,
Yeah.
no, not at all.
So-
I'm trying to think about what theory would do here with full stack kings. Let's assume a good player has, the typical range, a decent range. I'm wondering if ace 10 is part of your 4-bet bluffing, or if
No.
we still even get to
No,
call.
I
It's
think
just a
you
fold.
I think you just
I just
mostly
looked it up.
fold.
Yeah,
I just
fold.
looked it up.
That might be slivers, but
And is it because of the caller or
Well,
it's
first of all,
because of the flatter behind. A lot
Yeah.
of the reason that you're going to just fold. I mean, your range becomes, if you look at this range, it's like we're really folding heavy.
Yeah.
And then we have shoves, and then we have some calls in the suited variety.
and then Mike, I think I have a clear answer for you, which is it's everything to do with the second caller with the ace. Because against the raise, the ace 10 suited mixes calls and raise and 4-bet bluffs. Without him, it just folds.
yeah?
I mean,
So here's
mean-
with the caller, you see ace 10 suited is just folding.
A sliver of calls.
Yeah, tiny bit of sliver.
Screw that.
If it were just versus, then the ace 10 suited gets in there.
Right. And it never folds.
Never folds. Yep.
So it's everything. And it's got, you're going to be in the sandwich post flop. And you're not guaranteed that the ace 10 isn't going to do something fun here. That he isn't.
He should
Blank.
check.
Did we filter this for flopping top set or something?
Yeah, with kings.
I'd like to filter my next session for filtering for flopping top set.
I
How
would
do I
like-
do that? Which poker god do I speak to?
You gotta
Alright.
pray.
All right, Leanne, what would you do here?
I feel like check.
Whoa, that is
Oh.
so wide. He has nothing.
Oh, he's so happy.
Now I would check. If I chose to make small bet, I'm sorry, I'm taking over your hand, Leanne. I just got so excited. I'm gonna shut up. I apologize.
I mean, now that he's check and call, maybe I would hope for a bluff.
Yes.
He got it. And now it's only 18 more to go all in, so maybe I'd just go all in.
Yeah.
Maybe you're opposite a set of nines or something.
Oh,
What? So you can make this, look at the rake here, 5 bigs.
Yeah.
You can make this mistake. I think early days when I was playing online cash, I made this mistake of just totally disrespecting short stacks, and it was very much to my detriment. I think I'm very much made the error that P3 is making here.
Yeah.
I
But
didn't see what
actually,
happened. Did he
disrespect
go
would be
all in and that
overfolding.
guy with that ace 10 called.
Oh, yeah. It's shocking.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
he's
That,
up.
Richie is now up. You're in a different order because that's the order you appear on my screen. So Richie, if you can hear me, unmute. You did. All right. This is Richie's hand.
Hello. Yeah. So I'd fold the fours in this position. Open the ace 10.
All right, can I say something real quick about that last hand?
Yeah.
You know, on that flop, that's that king small rainbow flop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't that small, 9, but still, king small rainbow flop. Maybe it would look suspicious if I didn't bet. I don't know.
Well, what does a pair of queens want to do here?
Check.
Pair of queens does
Yeah.
want to check call.
Okay.
mean,
It's
you know-
just that we talked about a high frequency of betting out of position on these boards, but
Yeah, but that was single raise. That was single raise pot. This is-
oh, okay.
Three bet into multiple players and things like this.
Oh, completely
Mike
different.
says,
Okay,
Mike says
okay.
he's going to see bet also. Okay. You can.
Yeah, where would we? So I would fold the fours. Some people would have a mixed range here and raise the fours, but I'd fold the fours. I'd raise the the ace 10 suited. Fold 2, fold 6. King queen suited should be a raise, a 3-bet, I'd say. Because it's not on the button. If it was on the button, it could have a call-in range. 9-8 should fold, 10-jack should fold. Yeah, so it should, in theory, then go back around to the ace 10. Obviously, they opened, which they can do, right? You can have small pocket
Very,
pairs
very
in your
small.
range. Yeah.
The fives are in the sort of 9-10%, but the fours are really small there.
Yeah,
But
it all depends on your table, right? But yeah, you would literally fold to any form of
Yeah.
pretty much aggression.
Five,
You
five,
can
five.
one aggression, I suppose. One razor you could call and try and set mine, but yeah, realistically you should fold. Yeah, so now they've done that. Oops, I've minimized 2 seconds. Ace 10, they should realistically, if they want to stay in, raise. So 3-bet to 9 big blinds, I would say. Then it comes round to, but they're likely going to call, I guess. And then it comes round to king, queen suited with 2 callers, I guess. Well, 1 raiser, 1 better, 1 caller. I'd say the king, queen, if they want to actually participate, they should then, Oh, so actually the ace ten folded. Nice. Okay, I thought that might be in some range. Yeah. So here they should three bet to 9 big blinds, I'd say. But I guess they limp, did they? Okay. And then everyone else should fold.
So, before we go beyond this, just to those, how often, without looking at the chart, how often do you think the ace ten suited in second position there should be three betting against the initial raiser? And I'm gonna give my number in a second, but anybody want to
So
out a number?
I don't know. I usually play 6 max, and this is where I was thinking my range might be obviously a bit wrong here. So, and I can understand why they folded there on a larger table. So on this one being a larger table and still having a few people behind, maybe their three betting is a bit lower. So I don't know, 20, no, closer to 30%.
Okay,
Raising.
I think it's gonna be 50, and we're gonna look in a second. And then how about the king queen suited? Don't look yet, don't look yet. Not too late.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet. Okay, good. Right. So, and I think the king queen suited is going to be 100%. I think ace ten suited is going to be 50% and king queen suited is going to be 100%. All right, let's see.
I agree.
gonna
The king
go-
queen suited might actually then start folding if the ace 10 bets, like 3 bets.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100% king queen suited folds to the 3 bet.
I'm gonna say ace ten. I think it's gonna be more than you think. But
Okay.
that's my guess. That's my guess. More than 50.
All right, let's see. Click the button.
It's gonna be
Way,
kind
way
of
less
low.
than 50.
Low.
What's the number? What's the actual number?
Like 30, what, 25, 25?
All right. So Richie wins. 33 was closer than 50.
Yeah.
And king queen is 100, but that's there. And then so therefore on the hijack, of course, the king queen's also going to be 100.
Yeah, that'll be 100.
Yeah, that'll be 100. And then just to prove it, when the under the gun one does 3 bet is ace 10, the king queen is just a fold. We're assuming that not even close. Oh, there's a sliver, but it's not close. Okay, great. All right, now you get a flop.
So the 4s here, because it's their range, right? They should bet this small, continuation small it, third part, I would say. And then the king queen should just call, keep them in for a minute. Well, not keep them in. They're obviously concerned about the ace, so it's not actually keep them in. They want to keep it in for the straight / flush potential as well as their second pair.
Yeah.
So yeah, king queen should call. I'm probably a little bit too big. The only positive of, I guess, going this bet, if you get a caller, you really narrow in their range, and they're basically telling you they have a high pair or a draw or a made hand. I guess. But then you should obviously, if you're really committing to the bluff now the aces come up, you can continue it, but really you should check this behind.
I think that the 4 is probably in their mind are doing the old style thought of one and done. You bet big to try to get quote information, which is not great poker, but do it. And that's what I think he's doing. And I think he's done with a hand now.
It should be done, definitely, yeah.
I don't think he's going to try to blast his way out, but he might try to blast his way out on the river.
Yeah. So they did check, did they? Yeah, they checked.
Yeah,
Okay.
they did check.
I like
to check back as well.
I like to check back.
Yeah. Okay.
And he just gives up.
Can you go? Can you try to get value with a king?
You could consider it, right? Because the double check, because there's a double check. I don't know.
You're trying to get called by king jack and king 10, right? That's what you're trying to get called by.
Yeah.
Yeah, king jack, king queen. I mean, there's king all the way down to king 5 in range.
Yeah. So you're trying to get called by a worse king. And you got to bet really small for it, but you can't bet less than 9 on the Matt Affleck rule. And do you want to bet half pot? What aces does he have that he would play this way? None.
Pretty
He could have
clear.
a really small ace, right? A really like an ace 3 suited. He could have the beginning, but realistically, yeah, I don't know. As you say, you're expecting him to have the kings, a king of some sort, right? And that you're trying to get called by. I think there's so many combos that are trying to trap you here over that are trying to see a cheap showdown that I think you just check back.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking that this is the one time to violate the Matt Affleck rule and bet 6 and fold to a check raise.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's interesting is I know that we're not going to see the large size bet. When we get this action here, let's fold that. When we're going to put him on the button just to
Yeah.
give him a calling range, which of course we know population doesn't use this range, but we'll use it for the purpose of the exercise. And it was an ace, king, jack, rainbow. And we already saw it's going to be a heavily c-bet board, including all the way down to 4s.
Yep.
Yeah, we see I think the connectedness of this board is a little different than the other one we looked at.
Right.
So there are some exceptions, there are some checking here, but you see that it is still c-bet almost 90% of the time. He used a big size though, which is not a thing. And in early position, the earlier you get, the larger sizes tend to go away. And that's the case here.
Yeah. And this won't break solver, so we can play.
So he's going to have some of these kings. He called.
Yep.
With its king and queen suited. It was a ace of spades.
Right. And the king queen suited, by the way, does some raising also, mostly calling, but it bluff raises.
Look at that.
But we're not going to find those at all if we play poker coaching style.
We're going to look at full height here. All right. So there's 4s want to kind of keep at it a little bit.
Yep.
Obviously a bluff because you're going to try to get a lot of this stuff to fold. But they checked, right? They checked.
And they're highly suit dependent, that one, whether they continue there, which is weird.
And button king, queen suited, checks behind, as we figured.
Yep.
Then it was the 2 of hearts, the blank, that poor deuce. They always get chosen as the blank. So there's your 4s now.
100%. They go, we don't want to lose this pot. So the
All these lower.
They know they have no showdown, right?
They checked. Does the king ever get to go for value? No, just ace king. Well, which is a full house.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, there is no.
I'm wondering if the initial raiser better did a small bet on the flop and then check to the river.
That's a great
potentially go for value then.
Yeah, that's a great point. I want to investigate that myself. So we got this call. A king queen suited goes a little bit more on the raise here once we get that small size.
Yep.
But they call, and it was the ace of spades.
It does it a lot. It did it close to half the time. So clearly that king queen suited did not take any classes of poker coaching.
Yeah.
Is it because they have the backdoor straight and flush, right? And it would be a case then if obviously you then get re-raised, you fold, but then if you call, you would potentially draw into further equity to continue your bluff. I don't know. It does seem odd, right? Because this fits the initial raiser's range, but I'm just trying to work out why the solver's doing it, right?
Well, it mostly doesn't. I mean, that is the thing. The
idea... okay. I thought you said it mostly did. Sorry.
No. I said it does it way more than you would than poker coaching would think. It does it.
Okay.
I mean, we see our percentages. The king queen of clubs is the only one that does it the majority of the time.
Yeah.
3 to a straight.
It must be because of the bottom flush and then the back door, right? Because the chances of winning are low, so you're trying to steal it here. If you do get a call, you still have equity. I guess is the only way I can see it.
But you really don't want to get, 4-bet.
No,
3-bet.
it would,
Don't want to get
yeah,
3.
it would definitely fold to as you say, a 3-bet, right?
So now look at all these kings in range to that under the gun. Now this is range height, or this is normalized. Here's the range height. But they still
Yeah,
have
We
a
just,
pretty
we're just
decent
gonna get
amount.
out from them.
Nope, still does not want to do it.
No.
Still does not.
So let's look at one more thing while we're here. We're gonna check raise we're not check raise, we're gonna raise our king, queen suited in position. With our
On
king-
flop?
Yeah, we're gonna raise with the king, queen of clubs. Here,
To the size that it prefers,
to
50,
the size that it
50.
prefers, to the 50. Okay, and now we are gonna get 3-bet.
This will 100% be a fold, surely.
3-bet the most common, and we want to 3-bet the most common size, which is to
Kind
8.
of like split between these. Well,
No, 18 is the one that it does the most.
yeah, you're right.
So 18. And now king, queen of clubs. I don't think king, queen of clubs folds. Mixes. Yep. So there. So it's not obvious and good enough. All right.
Oh, fair, yes. 50-50.
Painful.
Oh, nice, okay.
All right. That was Richie. After Richie is now Skate.
All right, let's King 9. I think they could do some opening from the hijack there. Ace 8, flag call, Queen 6. Don't know. I'm guessing they're gonna call as well.
All right, Skate. So just so that you know, and that what theory will say, fives has a very small frequency of raising, but they
Yeah.
should fold. King 7 should be I think that's a pure in the low jack. King 7 suited is a pure raise there. Whether they do or not, I don't know. And then King 9, of course, would also raise once they fold.
Just so I can
True,
show king 7 suited is 75% in the low jack.
75.
Yeah, close enough to.
They fold. So you got your wish, Skate. They do raise. And then what did you say about Ace 8?
They could flag call. I mean, yeah, you're right about King 7. You know, I just I tend to miss my low suited kings, as you know, they're middle position. Because I play live, but
Look at
Oh, that's that weird one.
75
but still,
on the button. Oh,
That's that weird one
Ooh.
that gives you a little snaggle tooth for some reason where it likes King
Yeah.
6 full.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay. Okay, nice. So I got my wish. They raised and they called. Yes, I got my second wish.
Is that in
Now,
theory? How about in theory, Skate? What do you think about Ace 8 on the button to hijack raise? What's solver do?
solver. I think it's gonna do. Want to do a lot more calling because like ace. Well, yeah, ace 6, ace 7, ace 8, ace deuce are even suited are gonna be among the worst aces. So a lot more calling, I think. Of course, it maybe is gonna have some, and if it is, it's probably gonna be like super low. If any.
We'll look at it. I think it's going to mostly 3-bet, but once you get here, how about Queen 6?
Okay, well, they're getting pretty good odds. Kind of, the 6 sucks, but call.
And I think this is going to be a fold now that we've gotten this action.
Yeah, I think the queen 6 is going to be a call if let's see, against the hijack. I think the queen 6 suited will do a lot of calling against and some raising against the hijack without the button there. I think it's going to mix calls and raises, and it's going to be about 50% raises, 50% calls if the button wasn't there. But with the button there, I think it's just a fold.
Yeah, we talked
Also, it's
about
a
this the
bigger
multi-way.
RFI sizing.
Yeah, let's see. Let's take a look at what it does. Oh yeah,
Well, yeah.
I didn't consider the RFI size. Yeah, just fold it. Ugh, I don't know.
Well, I think they're gonna call. Oh, you're hero, right? So,
Hero's gonna fold.
Oh, here's
and who?
Oh, that is hero. Yeah,
Yeah.
if it's me, it's definitely folding. I think. So where were we? Hijack?
hijack.
Hijack.
Whose hands are these?
These are Mike's.
Okay.
So here's your calling range on the button. Ace eight is almost a pure 3-bet.
One thing to
Deep-
look at here, Skate, is that in theory, what we're only calling 3% of hands here, and we're 3-betting almost 10. I think it's the way that solver plays.
Yeah.
And those calls are all going to come from suited combos that have draws to nuts in 2 dimensions. It's got draws to nuts from the flush, but also draws to nuts in
Straight
the
direction.
straight, and ace eight just doesn't fall in there. It makes a better 3-bet.
That is
We want to
such
take it
a
down
good-
free. We want to take it down free, and we don't want to pay rate.
Larry,
Okay.
that is such a good description of this range. I really like that. I
Oh,
think
cheers.
I think I will
appreciate
remember that now. That's really
Yeah.
good.
That was
Yeah.
good. I like that. 2 dimensions. Now single raise
I have
pot.
a question here. So obviously the RFI was 3 big blinds, not 2 big blinds, right, on the hijack. So does
Yeah,
that
I was
mean
going
on
to
the
show that
button?
next.
Okay, I was just wondering on the button, does that mean that increases their call-in frequency or reduce it? So in my head, I feel like the ace eight would call more frequently rather than 3-bet more frequently. But is that wrong?
Your VPIP
I
goes
think it's
down
the
and
opposite.
polarization goes up.
Is it okay?
Yeah, you have less calls. It's just a lot of it just is based on rake, right? This is NL50 rake, so
Mhm.
you've got more dead money to capture.
Yeah, and we'll see that here in a moment. So single raise pot, big blind defends the queen 6. When the button calls,
And look at how it does that queen 6. Half raising, half raising.
yeah, half raising, half calling.
Yeah.
Now with the button calling, the big blind, it goes all the way up to just the broadways.
Yeah. Huge.
The 3x would make it even worse, but we're going to look at that. Need to move this down.
Yeah. I also want to see what the queen 6 does in just to the single raise, because I don't know this.
Here's now your button. So notice there's no calling whatsoever. Now the rake is a little different. It is live 10% instead of the NL50 rake.
Yeah. Which is much worse.
So I guess I can't even choose call here.
You can get there by.
Oh, wait, no, never mind. It's on the wrong setting. We can do this. This will have calls.
What did you change?
From simple to general strategy.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
What if you
So this
lower
is-
the rake to like a more close to online, around 5%? What does it look like then? Is that possible?
I don't think we have the 5% rate, but I think we do have the chip EV pure.
You're gonna have calls, Chippy V.
Yeah.
But the one thing to think about here is that if you look at the deep differences between this live rake and what we look at on the regular charts, it's not as different as we think because of the cap difference.
Yeah. So go to chip EV. Here. So
Okay. And then what?
now let's look at what the button we'll look at what the button does here.
Oh, there's going to have a ton of calls.
Right.
But I can't choose any
Right.
other rake structure
Yeah.
other than this.
Yeah. So at the live 10%, I want to see what does the big blind do against that hijack raise with nothing in between.
With nothing in between.
What is it? How much tighter does it? It gets tighter. Oh, it's just ridiculous. The rake just kills you.
Yeah, you just really can't enter pots.
Yeah.
Without some kind of nut draw.
And with a call, look how tight that defense is.
Yeah.
calling a lot of pairs, a lot of suited aces, suited Broadway.
So I think in the future, when we are doing our analysis and we see calls in the cutoff and the hijack, and what we normally do is we put them on the button and play that way. I think instead we should change the rake and put them where they are because the range that the solver is playing against is closer to the range we are playing against. So
Okay.
we'll try that on the next time that comes up. All right, so this hand is whose
This
hand
was
is
skate.
this is skate. So go on
This is
skate.
skate.
You took
Yeah,
it
so we
right.
just went over some of those pre-flop things that were slightly
Yes.
different. Here, I doubt I defend here, and if I did, I would have a reason, which
Yeah.
none of this tells me I should. So I hope I fold. I do. Good.
Yep. I think you fold. All right. This board is, I mean, kind of good for us. We do have a good shot here with the backdoor flush. We can continue here. So let's bet anywhere half pot or less. Yep.
Can I
So-
give you an idea here, Skate?
Yeah, go ahead, Larry.
What do you guys think of a check raise with this combo?
It's strong enough. And we
I'd
can,
like it. I like a check raise here. I think we're in check raise territory.
Okay.
it has three things.
It has three things and it would love a fold.
Yeah.
Let's see if he takes the bait.
It has three things and, oh no, it has, wait, there's one reason we might not want to check raise it. It doesn't have three things. We don't have a gut shot. We have a double gutter. So that's the same as open-ended, and open-endeds do less check raising.
Okay.
Because they want to realize. Then you add in the flush draw and the overcard. Maybe that's enough to, if you do get rebet, you just call. Maybe that's enough to call. So this one's got some tension.
Very true.
Let's see.
Trying to make my lunch while I'm studying this poker. So
So it's,
So is it favored to check call here or small
don't know yet.
continuation?
we don't know.
Yet, is it?
We're gonna check it in the solver because of,
I would like a check raise here. I think this is a good check raise card.
So skate, we're on ace eight here. King nine check. You wanted to bet here half pot and just so that there's another one that we can look at, but this should
Well-
be, I'm guessing this is a check range here on this board.
yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, it's of course the jack, the 10 hits their range a little better. I mean, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we do want to bet on more on the ace, king, kind of queen type of boards, maybe.
So what does ace eight do?
Ace 8 here, I think, judging by the way they played pre-flop, I think they're going to check.
They do check.
and I think that's a really good bet for the ace eight there.
Me too.
Yeah, so we'll see what the solver does. I think solver's gonna bet the ace eight there.
Pretty frequently as well, I think. Small.
And Larry predicts a check raise by the king nine suited. And I predict a mix of calls and raises because of the tension.
Yeah, I don't think it'll check raise it pure, but I think it will have I'm guessing like a 15%-ish.
Yeah, okay.
All right, you got a turn.
All right, we got a pair, but still third pair, so let's do some checking.
They
Or that.
Ace
No,
eight's in a very interesting
Get into
place
the
now.
nuts.
Yeah, ace 8 should call. I mean, they do have open-ended.
They
No,
got
they-
a straight.
They have a straight, excuse me.
They're trapping.
So let's do a lot of calling.
So let's
I would actually build up the pot because of the other draws and the flush draw there. So I take that back as well, and I would do a lot of raising.
Hard to know.
I think it's largely based on your SPR. And your SPR is what now? Your SPR is 10. So I think that you are incentivized, and there's a lot of draws that he can have that he needs to call. I think he's incentivized to raise in position.
Oh, I'm so happy to disagree with this. Your reason makes total sense because you get value from the flush draw, you get value from the pairs, and you don't want to see this ace of diamonds. I agree with all that. You have the third nuts,
Yeah.
and the other hands and the other nuts are totally in his range, totally in his range. I don't want to raise.
Okay. King queen. There's a lot of king queen out there. You're right.
Queen,
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, would they bet that small with that range? I mean, I'm just like
Oh,
basing it off the sizing.
okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't want to like um guess what they're thinking. I mean, we have no idea.
But that's what I believe in. That's my solver land thing. Okay. And now you can. Now you're not up against king, queen, and you'll find out if you're up against.
What are you doing with king nine here, Skate?
King nine, check. Yeah, definitely check.
Okay, he checked and ace eight bet, half pot, a little more than half.
Third pair, possible straight, possible flush. I'm gonna fold.
Good. I don't think either of these players played this hand very well at all, except for the check on the flop. Do we want to look at it?
Definitely.
Kind of hard to look at because how many eights does imposition have? But we can look at it, but he's just like, I really,
This
honestly, I
hand
think
doesn't
it's going to
break it.
be a skewed.
No, but this hand doesn't break the
skewed.
solve. He has ace eight suited here.
And he also has 9-8, so sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And eights, he's got pure eights. Okay.
Okay, so hijack, pure check as we thought, checking range.
Yep.
Button with the ace eight in particular is going to bet it when it has it here, which again, it rarely has it, but it does. And it wants to bet it. Look at the entire range wants to bet almost 70% of the time.
Which ace eight did we have?
Spades.
We did have spades. Okay.
And they did check, right? Or no, did they check?
How is it that we
Yeah,
only,
ace eight check.
Okay.
how is it that we only had spades and diamond on the flop? Because are we on the turn now? No, we're on.
The bottom of my screen is
Oh, that's what's missing. Okay, thank you. You understand my confusion.
I
Okay,
have the zoom controls on the top of my screen, which you can't
Right.
see. There we go. So
Okay,
now you
good.
can see,
okay,
you
good.
can see
Thank
all
you.
of the ace eights.
Okay, good. I was very confused about how poker worked.
So they hijacked, then decided to, we got a turn first, right? I went check, check.
Yeah.
And it was the,
Right.
Nine
So
or something.
so he should have bet his ace eight there,
he
Um,
should have.
but he
We didn't
doesn't
break
break,
it though, it can check.
he didn't break the solver.
So king nine, he wound up betting, which I didn't think was a good bet. He had the wrong suit to do anything to it, but he wound up betting
Yeah.
a third or a small bet.
Because now it's marginally made.
And we're going to look to see if that's a good check raise. On the flop, we want to look. Let's go back. Right? We wanted to see if this was a good check raise.
Yeah.
I was curious.
Yeah.
Yep.
These are all big bets. Look at these are all big sizes. These are
Oh.
all 50 minimum, but 75 and
Yeah.
125.
Highly polarizing. Maybe it's to stop the check raises.
Yeah, give
Yeah,
him his
that's
75.
going to bring down the frequency of your check raising.
So you can give him a B50, I think. That's not going to break it.
Do we check raise a B50?
We need
Okay.
the front door.
They all have
Slivers.
it. The
No,
diamonds
got
on
it. It's there. So it exists, but it's not common.
10%, 11%.
Right. Give him a 33 and let's see how often we can make this thing go up. He almost never does the 33, but give it to him because it doesn't break the solve. More.
Increases as we expect.
Yep. And at his real size, which should be 75, it goes, you need the diamond. Okay.
Okay.
So he does go check, check.
So here's where I thought his bet was kind of dumb, but he made it.
That's a bad poker
And-
bet.
And here's where we were expecting eights to raise in position. Let's see, let's go full height here. So just interesting that just the front door wants to raise.
Can you look at the equity of this combo? Let's talk about, I mean, I think Scotty had a very good point about this hand being the third nuts. So if you go to strategy, back
Oh,
to
yeah,
the last
sorry.
tab
Mhm.
and drop down. And now let's get, so it has 71% equity. So yeah, it's not, and we compare and contrast to king,
But
queen,
with
suited.
diamonds, you just don't care if you're over flushed.
Can I ask you to do one more thing? Can you
Over-
highlight it and then go to breakdown and see where it falls in our equity city graph? If this works. There it is. So it falls, it's got a lot of equity, but yeah, it doesn't want to bet. I think you've got some very good points, Scotty. Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
But with a diamond, you go,
You YOLO it with the diamonds.
yeah, you just go, oh, fine. Sometimes you have king, queen. Sometimes I hit a diamond.
I sometimes have a blind spot for straights. You are much more tuned to them than I am. And that is a leak I have got to fix.
The number of times that the other side of the couch, I've heard my wife say, fuck, I didn't see the straight, is higher than you'd expect.
This was not on my card. The king nine wants to lead
Lead the river.
or a continue. I guess it would still be a continuation.
Yeah, continue. Yeah, he doesn't give up.
So that kind of surprises me.
He just must overfold. So the result, I mean, if you looked at he must fold over MDF. That's usually what you do when you see these marginal bets.
And given the, and the action was, it just went check, bet, fold.
Yes,
Yeah, and the bet size was,
like just over half.
right,
Yes.
and that's good. Right, he did that. And now the king nine wants to jam on him? Oh, the king nine of diamonds.
Flush.
Yeah, the flush. Great. The nuts.
So is this king nine of this? Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Okay. So, fold, ace seven raises, king six suited should fold. Ace jack suited has the ability to three bet and also call, both work. The reason we know that there's a call there is because it is one of those top hands that can make the nuts two ways. So it exists in the calling range. I'm going to assume that he does call. Then the pocket kings re-raises, the ace seven suited folds, and the ace jack suited calls. That's what I think is going to happen. And his king is small. That's a small raise. That's a small raise out of position. He wants this guy in.
Yeah.
And ace jack says, sure.
I think 14 is what solver likes there.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
GTO whiz anyway.
Hey, Mike, how does your poker tracker know what everybody's hole cards are?
I'm an employee at Ignition, so I get to access everybody's hold cards all the time.
Including when you're playing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So
And you
YouTube, remember
also-
that.
My screen name is Pot Ripper.
Going old school.
Yes,
Hot River
exactly.
reference.
Right. And if you,
No,
turns out you-
Leon, in all seriousness, Ignition allows you to download all hold cards 24 hours after playing.
Oh, okay.
I think their argument for doing that is that, well, it's an anonymous site, so you can't connect someone's play style. to their username. And so
Right.
that's one of the advantages of playing on Ignition. And also the argument is that you can actively search for collusion.
Yeah, it's kind of an integrity thing. You would think.
Yeah.
All right,
Cool.
Scotty.
Okay, and the thing about it is, an ignition because of this is the greatest, there are things wrong with the ignition site, but it is the greatest site for learning. The ability to do what we do here, where you see all the hands and see how people actually play, I think is great. All right, here we go.
Do you think ace jack suited calls 100% there?
In game, yes. Do I think
Oh, in theory.
solver it should? Ace jack, let me see how, with the initial bet, no, I don't. I think ace jack is going to do a fair amount of folding there.
Yeah, I think to a regular size squeeze here from the big blind.
That's
it
what I
just
think.
folds.
I think it should do a lot of folding there. Let's see if I'm right.
I think it's going to call, actually.
Okay.
I think it will call. Where were we? We were
Low jack
low
-1.
one. Okay.
Your range is just super tight here,
Yeah.
even though you're in position.
So we know the ace jack gets the call here. We've seen that already.
Yep,
They do. Did the 3-bet come from small blind or
big blind.
big blind? Okay, there's the
Yeah.
14.
Yeah.
They're gonna fold all that ace X, and then here's ace jack suited. Oh, look at that, pure fold.
Yeah. But to the smaller size, I don't think this is egregious at all. And then the weird thing where the ace 10 calls, but the ace jack doesn't, makes no sense to me, and I don't care. Ace 5, the ace 5 at least makes sense to me. I understand ace 5. I do not understand the bizarre, the blocker interaction of the bottom end of the bluffs of the big blinds range against two players, what he squeezes with. I don't care. And the reason I don't care is because whatever the solver does, the solver is responding to an overspecified range by the big blind. The big blind in real life isn't doing exactly that. So the solver isn't giving this, so this answer isn't correct. Does that make
I
sense?
think you used a good term there, overspecified.
Yeah,
You're right. It's just like super specific to what his bluffs are.
right. And so with that in mind, if he calls the ace jack, I'm fine. And given that the size was smaller, I'm fine. I'm just fine with it. It's a
I'm a
thing.
little surprised to see that like ace king never like back jam or back raises or queen.
Yeah, I mean, I think ace king at this, well, so the ace king off that you call, you choose to call. I think it likes playing in position in a situation against this super condensed range.
Versus a polarized range, right?
Yeah, it's super. Yeah, I mean, it's like if you look at big blind's range, it's kind of, um, it's kind of linear almost. I want to say. I mean, it's got bluffs around the suited aces, but
Yeah, and it's got those 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8 bluffs in there.
yeah, and obviously, this is where we make the argument again. Well, humans will never look like this with their squeezing range.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't squeeze the 6, 7 there ever.
This is going to be an interesting hand. Who's doing this one anyway?
Oh
Got it.
boy, this is me. I think the kings, so not knowing their hand at all, he has 3-bet. He can do a lot of c-betting here again across a lot of flops. Then I look at this particular flop and I go queen high, too low. There's nothing about this flop that says that I can't be c-betting a lot. Then I look at my hand and go, this hand can certainly c-bet. So I c-bet. And I'm going to c-bet anywhere from 1/3 to half. That's just fine. And given the flush, the straight draw exists of the 4-5. The board is technically dynamic because an ace or a king can come. And with so I think this is a dynamic board. So I want to push up a bit and I want to bet 14. I want to bet half pot here.
I'm with you. I think it's going to want to size up. I think it's going to prefer 50s and 75s to 33s.
Yeah.
Or more frequent, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go all the way to 75. And he goes small, which I think is going to be represented there. And against a small bet, ace jack can never fold, ever, 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 ever. And does he want to raise? No. Call. We'll see if this guy does, but I don't think we want to raise.
He's having a good day. He might get spicy over here.
Yeah, we'll see.
Playing 500 big blinds.
Oh, yay. Congratulations, Kings. This is gonna be very good or very bad for you. With the jack coming, Queen Jack is not a big thing in his range. He's got ace queen here. He's got king queen, although I blocked that. I am not afraid of his sets yet. I want to get all in, so I'm going straight up to E. And we're basically at 2x. We're a VPR, PFR, PR,
SPR.
SPR. Thank you. I'll get there eventually. We're an SPR of just under 2. And if I knew those things, I would know that that number is about half, but I don't, so I'm going to now work it out.
60.
It's 60. I'll get there.
Oh,
So
sorry.
if I bet half pot here, the pot's gonna go to 90. The pot's gonna go to 130, and I'm gonna have a third of a pot left. So I don't need to bet that big to do this. If I bet 25%, if I bet 22, then the pot's gonna be 80 and I'm gonna be 60. So that's 75. So it's somewhere between the two. So I'm gonna bet about 40%.
They check.
Okay. The ace jack should not bet here. He often has the best hand, but he doesn't need to do this. But he does. And now against that 17 with my kings, I'm gonna check raise. So he really is afraid of it. Okay. But if I check call there, I have not changed anything. I'm check calling now. And the ace jack should check back. Okay. There we go. So I don't agree with a lot of the play that happened there. So what was the 3E number? What after that flop? What was my 2E from that flop on? Did you say 60?
Dewey at 2-1 is 60%. So it would have been 20.
But I'm 8 big blinds low for that.
So
Because
slightly less. Yeah.
if I go 60%, I'm gonna bet 48. Yeah, so let's take a look at it now. Yeah, thank you. So if I bet 60% of this, that's 60% of 45. So that's gonna be, I'm gonna bet 24. I'm gonna bet 27. So 54 more will go in and he'll be at 100 and I will be at 27 less, which puts me at 55. Am I doing math right? Yeah, 55. So at 55 at 100. So that's 50. Yeah, so for this number, it was a little bit less than the 60 was a little too big. And so like that. Anyway, we're fine. Let's see what Solver says. You get to watch me do low-level arithmetic wrong. Yeah, so we've got this. We're not gonna be able to solve post-flop. Oh, well, actually, let's try it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, because he folds.
Right. Let's see if it lets us go post-flop with this.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
just not gonna have ace jack. It's just
this tiny sliver.
Yeah, call.
And
Oh, it's letting us go post-flop. Thank you, Leanne.
6-3. So a couple things we wanted to look at here. C-bet frequency. Oh, no, it doesn't like the really big. In fact, it likes small. Big blind C-bet frequency. Kings. Let's see if it likes hearts more or less. Doesn't really seem to matter.
Doesn't matter a lot. It bets the heart. Oh no, it mixes it all around. So who cares? Bye, Leanne. See you tomorrow.
They went small. So it prefers really small. Like 20, B20s and B33s.
It does. And then with our king, it prefers B50s and B20s, right? It mixes them.
Yeah.
And our particular combo, let's see, it didn't matter. It mixed about equally across all combos, right?
Yeah, it was almost identical. Very,
that-
very slight deviation.
Right. And did the ace jack suited ever want to raise?
No, did not.
Right. There's just no yeah, so we bet. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, this is after this is on the jack.
Yep, this is a flop. They flopped their top, or the button flopped second pair of flush draw. Kings are still their overpair with a heart.
They do not, right. You generally do not you bet and and your most common size is the 50. I can't tell from your colors.
Yeah, their most common size is 50.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And his check doesn't break the solver, but it is not preferred. And I don't prefer it. And with the king of hearts, it is less, it's the least preferred version.
Did the ace jack bet the turn?
Nope. Oh yeah, he did. It went check. Yeah. And when you do that, is it for a check raise? Let's see if we want to go for the check raise against his bet.
All you can eat.
Can.
With a heart, it likes to flat
Yeah. Okay.
because you're blocking his bluffs.
Okay.
I think you're blocking
And
what he
block
has to
him
call
coming in.
off.
Yeah, you're blocking his flush draw from coming in.
You want him to have
Right.
king of hearts so that he needs to call off your shove. So when you have it, he doesn't have as many call offs.
No, the king of hearts checks behind more often, which I'm saying you're blocking his bluffs, his
No,
heart
no,
draws.
nope. We're reading this wrong. Go to actual height. King of hearts does it less often, I think, because you have it less. I think you end up doing it the same. All right, here we go. Go to normalize. That'll bring it. Here we go.
Yeah, the king of hearts checks more
Right, the
often.
king of hearts checks, but nope, I'm just wrong. Never mind.
So my argument is that we want to unblock what he needs to call off because he's getting pot odds, but we're ahead. And what he needs to call off when you check jam at some frequency is ace king of hearts.
Okay, I hear you.
So when we're not possessing the ace king of hearts, oh, am I not thinking right? Am I getting it wrong? Am
I don't
getting it
know, but
wrong?
I was
No?
thinking that
Another way
because
to
we
think.
have the king of hearts, we're blocking he has more value in this bet than he does bluffs.
No, I
And
think
our kings are kind of crushing his value. So
yeah,
we
I
don't
think yeah. Okay.
Here's one other way to think about it, which is
Dean
all-
says it good in chat.
when
what
I
I'm trying to say.
because we don't need as much protection from flushes. Yes, exactly. That's it. It's exactly that point.
I don't think it's protection. I mean, his flushes come in 18% of the time.
But they come in less when I have the king of hearts. That is, they get to come in.
Now,
less.
I honestly think that it's because
Okay.
we want him to have to call off and cut with ace king of hearts.
Okay.
When we're blocking that, he doesn't have that required call off as much.
Okay. Could be that.
Solver doesn't think about protection, right? I mean, it's not really.
Well, I'm not calling protection. I'm saying that we can we're safer to give a free card when we have the king of hearts.
Okay. Okay, it could be true. Oh yeah, I mean,
We're gonna, we can check jam, and when he has, we check jam, and if he calls with his hearts, he calls with his hearts. If he doesn't, but if we check, the last thing we want to do is let it go check, bet, call, and give him a cheap card to his hearts, unless we make his hearts less likely. That was my.
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But enough words. It's what
It
it
may
does.
be kind of a come see, come saw kind of.
Could be.
We're kind of like in like
Right.
trying
Right.
like heavy theory at this point.
But now, with the king that we have, which does have the king of hearts, we can be here. We now, if we take this line with the king, if we take the line with the kings, we definitely check the river. That's what it looked like,
Yep, that was pure check.
pure check. And his bet was
He didn't bet, he checked behind.
check behind with the ace jack. Okay. So we don't bet the river. And if he bets the river, we don't fold. We don't fold the kings.
Nope,
No, kings are not shook. And if he bets smaller, do we check raise him? Was this whole thing a trap, or did we actually get afraid by the end with our kings? We mix.
small bet, it's giving me the warning that this is not common.
Yeah.
This is probably more common. Yeah, all in.
Yeah, we were trapping the whole way. We were never afraid. Okay.
Who's the next victim?
The next victim is Mike.
Right, king jack open, ace five 3-bet. It's not what, that is not what is going to happen though. King jack should open, and if assuming ace five folds, king jack should raise and take it. So who's calling? I'm guessing ace five is calling.
Ace five's calling.
Does ace five get 3-bet bluffs there this early?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Lots of,
Yeah, this is our pure, like,
Lots of
wow. Yeah,
Pure.
yeah.
So there we go. All right. It's going to be checked a lot anyway. And this hand just wants probably fine with checking. I'm wondering if diamonds wants to c bet more. No, shouldn't. So check, and ace five check behind is what should happen, and that's what did happen, I think. Now, it's, I mean, you can probably start getting aggressive versus population versus good players. I think you should just continue to check. So I'm going to say check again, and the ace, but so he bets, and the ace should call. And it, as played, the king of diamonds. Thinking the king jack of diamonds should bluff, should go like B60. I think B75 ish. Should go kind of large.
I think maybe you need an offsuit combo with a spade.
Yeah, probably want the spade blocker.
I think you want one spade there.
They
Well, you want
do.
one spade. Do you need one spade is the question.
Now, the ace five is not particularly loving it, but they do block the straight. I don't know if I would call here if I was ace five.
Well, I have something, Larry has something to say about this. Larry has something very specific to say.
It does.
Oh, God.
It does have some broken aggression. So this to the size, I think I'd probably fold, but they fold. I don't know if I would fold or not. I probably would.
Scotty, say it for me. I'm kind of brain dead.
Okay, Larry thinks that this is a bluffed size, that this size, the sizing tell on this, that this is someone going 75% pot is enough, but when I'm wrong, I don't want to lose a full pot. This is not a flush.
Yeah, I see your point. Larry might say that.
Yeah. And so I think that's not a bad place for the ace to buckle down.
Let's see the action again. So we got check, check back. That's
Right.
fine.
Check is fine. And so both of these guys can have an ace in this situation. The out of position player should have more aces than the in position player in the way the world works. I don't know, not the way solvers work, but a lot of people know to check out of position a lot.
Yeah, that's,
Not a lot of people.
yeah,
check
it doesn't really tell us
behind
much.
a lot. when there's spades on, you know, when there's a flush draw. They,
So this is like a B675, he calls.
so he has a lot of eight, so king jack can have aces, absolutely he can. Then he bets the river this size, he can also have flushes.
I don't know
That-
if I feel so sizing telly here, because
You
it's
don't
like,
feel sizing telly?
it's like check, big bet, big bet. Yeah,
Yeah,
I see your point, though.
Larry usually brings up the sizing tells when they come out big and then go small.
Yeah, the big bet, down bet thing is what I'm focused on, especially when it's a dunker.
Good enough. He got it through.
So this one's going to be tough to, because the call comes from such early position, but
Well, do you want to try it? Let's try it. Let's try the thing. Let's do a rake where they're allowed to have that, you know, do like a chip EV one,
oh yeah.
you know,
I
We
think we
can't do
get,
post flop though.
what?
It doesn't allow post flop.
Oh, we don't have, do we have, what about an NL 500?
I don't have.
you have
Okay.
access if you want to, you. In nine max, yeah. We don't have access to that in 9 max.
Okay.
All right, then. Good enough.
So the check to the king jack of diamonds here, yeah, just pure checking or almost pure checking. The ace, let's say they're not going to have ace five. Guess they do. How do they have ace? Oh, because it's range. I thought ace five was pure. Anyway, they check behind most of the time there, which happened. Then the queen of diamonds and the king jack of diamonds doesn't want to go big. So this card comes in and they don't want to go big.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times this is like essentially, we're gonna construct a two-street bluff. We'll see what happens on the river.
Yeah,
But it
should we
doesn't
give
break
them-
the solver to give him the big, by the way. The big exists at least. But. Or did the big, no, the 75 didn't exist, the 50 existed. And the ace five just called, I assume?
Yep.
He just doesn't have any combos left.
Yeah, all right.
So he should check. And then of course ace five will check.
But if he does bet,
On river?
yeah,
Yeah.
misery for ace five.
Can I be a solver pessimist for a second?
Yep.
So I'm having kind of a renewed pessimism around solvers when we get to spots in the decision tree that just are very low frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I think essentially what I think happens is that, you know, you get that Nash distance warning because it's saying, well, we just didn't solve this down, dude. But I think that is also true greater than what the warning is. And so when we get down to like a very low, if it's like a 2% of 2% spot, like you're supposed to use that sizing 2% of the time, and then you're supposed to check raise 2% of the time. I mean, I think we need to take those solves with a grain of salt.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Also, I had some questions for you guys for after we're done and turn off the YouTube.
Secret questions. Yeah, I look at it just when I see anything where I go, the solver never has that combo, so it doesn't care what it does with it.
Yeah, we just get to like a super thin part of the tree.
All right. Larry, Richie is up.
So the ace jack opens, standard opening, as in should I say, open. 8-8 could, well, no, they shouldn't call here. Realistically, they should raise if they want to go into 3-bet. And then the others should fold. I'm guessing what might happen is the ace jack, 8-8 call. And then yeah, the blind should fold.
And in that position, the 8-8 should be mostly folding. And to that 3-bet, to the 3 big blinds, it should be folding even more.
Okay. Where did I actually, this is a unique person's point of view, I guess, and it's not completely, well, it's not solver approved, right? But what is his name? Why has it skipped my mind? Quite known professional, Charlie something, really
Charlie
long
Carell?
hair. Is that him? British?
Yeah,
Yep.
Charlie Carell, fuck GTO.
He says, yeah, he says he pretty much always flat calls 8s from late position because 3-betting, it's always awkward on a flop. And he's just set mining. And I know that's a unique player's point of view, right? And it's not necessarily true to follow, but it was just an interesting take. He just set mines with 8s pretty much all the time because if he 3-bets get called, it's pretty much always awkward for him. And it's not uncommon for him to be 4-bet.
I think so. I think
so. It was an
the
interesting
value
thing.
of
I just
your
thought
middle
of that.
pairs there go up in value
Yeah,
if you're not getting squeezed sufficiently.
yeah,
So if you're in a pool where they just don't have super active squeezers behind, it goes up in value because you're going to realize your ability to set mine. Solvers solutions are based on having robust squeezing ranges behind.
okay.
And so it doesn't flat them. So I think Charlie's right about that. I think those middle pairs are fine to set mine as long as you're over 100 big blinds deep, assuming you don't have the proper squeezing frequency behind you in your
Yeah,
pool.
no, that's completely true. And he did mention that about the squeeze. I missed that part out 100%. Obviously, he says only do this if there's not big squeezers who come in behind and will just go over the top of you, right?
Yeah.
He says if it's quite passive.
And Charlie Carell is batshit crazy, but he's a brilliant poker player, and I watch all his stuff.
Yeah,
And Jonathan is with that. He said, about the idea.
100% fold, is it?
Yeah.
I'm guessing when does it become a raise then? Because I wouldn't do it. I would be looking 9s is probably my raise from that position, maybe even 10s, and it'd be 9s on button. But does it open on the button then? Or not? Only ever so slightly, not really. Okay.
When you say open, you mean flat?
Call, yeah, flat call it, or raise, or 3-bet, sorry.
Keep it as the
But
word
it's
goes.
just still a fault. It's still a fault. I'm not so used to. I play 6 max, right, which I guess is the ranges are a bit wider because there's less players in, right?
But
Yeah.
6 max and full ring, the chart should look very, very, very similar starting from the low jack. There should be very little. A 9-handed game should be a 6 max game as soon as the first 3 people fold. It's not exactly, but it's close enough.
There is some bunching effect that
Yeah.
does occur, which is a small deviation from the ranges, but it's pretty minor. But yeah, and to the point of flatting these pairs versus population, you're going to get much better EV than this is going to show. This is going to go up when you call versus population, as opposed to having a full table of solver level type players.
And Jonathan said the same thing, but that competes with a different thing that they've said, which is even though you have this true, that having a 3-bet or fold strategy in every position except the button is still good.
Yeah.
So that means you do fold so it's only on the button where you get to play all those pairs, or are they saying a 3-bet or fold except for middle pairs? How do you square that circle?
I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly from Charlie's point of view, but I remember in one of Jonathan's most recent video, he was 3-a-bet or fold anything but button, which makes a lot of sense.
But he also said, yeah, go ahead and call your pairs behind. You're not going to get 3-bet enough. So
does he mean mix then? I guess we're trying to guess here what he means by that term. But I would assume that would be mix, right?
well, one of the things we know he means, because he went in this in detail, is if other people are limping, go ahead and limp your 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s behind them and try to hit a set.
Okay.
So we had that. It's possible that he's talking that, it's possible he's talking, in a tournament situation where the rake is not the issue. It may be that he's talking in lower rake situations. So I remember hearing him talk specifically about the thing of saying, you give me pocket 6s here, I'm calling all the time to a raise and trying to set mine. But that may not have been a cash game, or he may not have been in a high rake situation, or he may have been speaking more generally. All right, but this guy calls.
So obviously the ace hits the early raises range a lot better than the late range, but you do want to keep some aces in your checking range. Is in this, spread board? Is this one of the checking ranges you would have? Because it's quite well. It's it's mixed color. I can't remember the exact term, sorry, but it's all colors and it's all spread. So it's quite a dry board, right?
Rainbow.
So yeah, rainbow, that's the term I was looking for. So
Dry
is this
board.
Yeah, is this one of those? Does that qualify for a check-in range then? Allowing the out of person, you're not really too concerned of draw cards is basically.
Yeah, I think so. What we've seen, you do get some more betting when it's disconnected rainbow.
Okay.
However, the ace changes that because he does have a significant amount of suited aces that he defends by calling if he were in the button. What we saw last week was that your highest frequency betting texture in this configuration is king high disconnected rainbow. So I think if we look at solver, this is going to mix, but we're still going to have a very robust checking range.
This board is super static. That's the main thing about this board.
Yeah. So I would probably, in my position, and I'm not sure if I'm right here, I would check this to have my checking range and still be feeling pretty good about myself.
Yeah, I like a check here too. I like a check here and see what develops.
Now, one question, I agree with you on those. Are you checking with intent to call against most bets or with intent to raise against most bets? Obviously, a huge bet you're going to reevaluate.
Yeah, size independent.
But against anything up to 40, 45%, are you looking to check call or check raise?
Mine, I was going to check call. I didn't consider the check raise too much because, as it was mentioned, you are potentially concerned about a 2-pair, maybe within their range. You don't have the strongest hand, and you also want to maybe get some value at the same time. So I think check calling, and a small bet is fine. And then depending on the turn, you could check raise the turn, depending on what it is how I would probably approach this. But my instinct is check call here.
So I'm right on the fence of ace jack as a check call and ace queen as a check raise, and ace jack as a check call and ace 10, as a check raise, and ace 10 as a check call. It's right there for me. I don't want to check raise this until I see a jack on the turn. Maybe another ace. And even if it's another ace, I don't think I want to check raise it because that's too obvious. So yeah. So I'm with you, and I'm right around there. Dean says if we bet ace queen, ace king, ace king, ace queen, is this more because check raise because the top of our ace high check range? I know, I can check an ace king and an ace queen here too. It's that his range, the top of his ace calling range is ace queen. He doesn't have ace king here very often at all.
Yeah, I think, Dean, your check raises are gonna be kicker driven here.
Yeah.
You're gonna have more check raises with your very best aces with a good kicker, best kicker.
So
So they did check.
and the eight, so what does happen? He checked?
Yep, ace jack checked.
Great. What
I
did the
think
eight-
I think the eights should check, but some people here would probably bet for information for a stab. But I think the eights should check.
They did bet.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't completely hate this because it gives you information of people calling right with an ace, but it doesn't give you too much. I'd rather do pot control as the eights and check here, because the player in early position is gonna know, well, should know that aces were in their range. So even if they didn't have the ace here, calling here it isn't giving them enough information for the stab, right? And you're unlikely going to steal this. So yeah, I've kind of taught myself actually liking this bet. I did say they should have checked it before, but I don't like the bet. But yeah, I would call here. As I mentioned before, I wouldn't check raise. I'd call in position, out of position, sorry. Yeah, so I would still check here. Obviously, this is a little bit of a scare card for the in position player. 10-9s are within them. It's obviously giving them a card to a straight, but you're blocking a straight with a jack, right? I still think it's fine to check here. Obviously, it's a potential flush as well, but any card coming was likely going to be a potential flush card. But a monotone board, not a monotone board, a rainbow board. So I would check here, eights here now, they bet. This is where they want to decide now if they're continuing the barrel or not. I would say they should just check in or probably giving up the hand, but I'm guessing this player bets, okay? Now here with the check behind, I would probably want to go for some small value as the ace player. It is a little bit concerning the nines come because the nines in their range. I am trying to think now if it's better to check call or go for small value. Because obviously if they raise you, if you did bet for small value, you'd be a little bit concerned, wouldn't you? My instinct is still going for small value here. Probably a bit too small for mine. I would have probably gone for a half pot. And that person folds, which they should do, I'd say.
So as we're putting this one, there's some things in the solver worth seeing about this. As we put them in,
Okay.
I want to make two speeches.
Yeah.
First speech is on that 9 on the river. I think the out of position player who had the ace has a license to bet on that 9 because he has many more 9s in his range than the in position player.
Okay.
And because of that, it makes it very hard for the in position player to bluff over our small bet because we have a lot of 9s. Okay. The other thing is that there's something that you've said here, which is absolutely true. And I want to encourage you to stop saying it and stop thinking it. And that is the phrase betting for information.
Okay.
Old guys like me, we had that term, let's bet for information. And as solvers and better players and young players came in, that went out the door. You don't bet for information. Now it turns out you still do bets that are exactly the same and give you information, but you stopped that thing of saying, I want to bet to see where I am. That you don't need to know where you are. That's not how you make money. And so even though there'll be many situations where that's what you're actually doing, if you have that in mind as a reason for doing things, you'll get the wrong frequencies. You'll do certain things too often.
Okay.
So you stop thinking about that and it puts you in a better mode. Like, when you get more to I'm betting because where I am in my range, I'm betting because this is a bluff, I'm betting to get better kings to fold. Those kinds of modern phrasings will get your frequencies better. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Yeah.
Well,
So you see, it looks like it does exactly what you said, mixes the checking and betting, ace jack in particular.
Mhm.
Is pretty much 50-50 across the board.
Yep.
Minus these pairs here, but yep.
Mhm.
And the eights, once they do check, I think are going to mix in some bets. Oh my goodness, over bets. Okay. Wasn't expecting over bets.
No, not at all.
This is what I mean, so the one heuristic we should look for going forward is when we have these super hot disconnected boards.
Yeah, the
Where,
bet's ridiculous.
yeah, these super disconnected rainbow boards, we are gonna see these over bets. And we're gonna match our value to that, right? So our nines are our value, and then and then shit ton of bluffs in here.
And look
So
at
why is it overbetting then when I know it's one card, but obviously ace is in the early positions range. What's the reason for the overbet here then?
Well, yeah, let's look at so. The first thing to think about is the frequency, right? So there's a strong correlation in solver between your bet frequency and your bet size. The more often you are betting on a texture, the smaller your size. The less you're betting, the more polarized strategy you're taking. So you're betting very few times at a lower frequency, but you're betting big. So that's the first
Okay.
thing. Second thing is that we are betting into a range that has the range advantage.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a polarized strategy, trying
Okay.
to produce folds.
Yeah,
And the
so there's-
third thing is the texture of rainbow disconnected.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So this is the lower end of the polarized strategy, because they could have two pairs sets, etc. And then it's putting the person who has the range advantage in an uncomfortable situation. I guess that is pretty much
Yeah,
that's what it's
I mean,
being saying
solver
based
thinks
on it.
about just really two things here. It thinks about range versus on flop. It thinks about range versus range. And it thinks about SPR. Doesn't know about anything else. And so it's got high freak check. When it does choose to bet, it's going to bet big.
And it's the range that it bets is fascinating to me. Because the ace king and the ace queen check back, and the ace 10 bets,
Which ace tens bet? Let's see which ace.
10 suited. It's
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't care which.
right.
Yeah, you have a really good point. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, maybe it has to do with wanting to generate folds, but it's hard to believe that it's not gonna fold out better aces with that ace 10.
I was going to say it's not going to fold many aces out. It might fold out low aces, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But in a real life situation, I'm talking about not solver v solver. It's not going to fold out many aces. That type of bet.
Can we look at?
So,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Richie.
Before you go on,
so-
before you leave this, go on with what you were saying, Richie, and then don't leave this screen because I have something to whine about.
Me
yeah.
too. I got something. I have a quest.
Right.
We're
So,
lining up, Mike.
I can't. I've lost my train of thought now. But
Sorry, us
yeah,
Yanks.
I've lost
Us
it. Sorry,
Yanks.
I think no, don't worry, it's fine.
Sorry,
I've
us
lost my
Yanks
train of thought now.
interrupt and we talk
I can't even
fast.
remember what I was going to say.
You can jump, you
or
can
even
jump
what I
back in.
said. Yeah, go
Well,
on.
I'm
Yeah, what were
saying-
you going to say?
I'm going to say how unbelievably polarized this is, that we bet sets, we bet two pairs, we check aces. That's the generalization here.
Yeah.
That is super polarized.
Yeah.
Have fun, you guys. I'm going to get to work. So now you can all do your own speeches without me. I'll see you
Okay.
tomorrow.
I want to ask you a question before you go. Can I ask you a question?
Okay. Yep, you can.
Are you still playing live at all out there?
I played live limit the other day. Fixed limit,
But no limit.
like an adult. No, I haven't gone out to do it. I should. I haven't.
Okay, no worries.
It's just so convenient to be sitting in my house on my couch playing poker and not driving.
It is.
It's not as profitable, but it's so convenient.
Yes.
All right.
You don't have to deal with those
Scotty.
pesky humans.
Scotty for the win. All right.
Scotty for the win. Bye.
Thank you for this. Hey, Scotty, you here tomorrow?
Later.
Yep. I'll see you guys tomorrow at the normal
Okay.
time.
Thank you, man.
Bye.
Cheers.